This is Rough Magic, starring Donald Von Griffin, Kieran Torres, live from North Carolina, Len Montgomery. We appear to have lost Leslie.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice. Somewhere, Leslie's out there. And me, the GM, Brandon Blackmore. This is Chapter 2 of Rough Magic, The Girl with Death in Her Eyes. Tonight's game brought to you by Bacardi Black. It's like regular Bacardi, just burned. So, there you go. Alrighty. Does anyone remember where we were?
I don't. It's been a rough 2 weeks.
I'm off the top of my head. Give me a minute.
Okay, well, I can tell you what I made notes of, and you can fill in the blanks if you like. Alright. You track down Edouard Degan, the father of Helene and Marguerite Degan. Helene being the one who's catatonic, and Marguerite being the very serious, kind of uptight sister who actually runs Degan, Kaufman and Degan, a real estate thing. Oh, there's Leslie. Hello, Leslie.
Yeah, what
Welcome
happened
back.
was I unplugged the computer during one of the thunderstorms and failed to plug it in. So
Well,
the battery
welcome
ran
back.
out.
Welcome back.
The battery ran out.
So you track down Edouard Degan. We're just doing the recap of last week because it's been a while. And so you track down Edouard Degan, father of Helene and Marguerite, interrogated him in the back of a car. He was very drunk at the time. He did not appear to know anything of any relevance. You did learn that Helene has been seeing Michel Galabru, owner of the Alegria, I think it's Alegria, casino and Parain gangster, for about 6 months, which is just slightly less than the amount of time that Marguerite has been running the company. So, let's say 9 months ago, Edouard basically passed control of the company to his daughters and became a wastrel. And then about 6 months ago, Helene started seeing Michel Galabru, owner of the Alegria Casino and a gangster, a Parain gangster. So, however, Edouard denied knowing why Helene would be dating such an unpleasant and uncouth man. Although he did mention something about, like, well, he is a wealthy and powerful man, so maybe that explains it. Carol dug into the SIT's files and put a name to the face that Dr. Celadon found in Helene's memories. Terry Lermite. You confronted Lermite at the garage he owns and caught him in the act of beating someone to death. You subdued Lermite. You rescued Lermite's victim. You retrieved the Nightmare Stone, gave it to Leslie, who turned it back over to the Fae, because it was like a fragment of some larger thing that had been kicking around the Grim world, which is to say our world, for like 600 years. So somebody will be glad to have that back. Terry, you making margaritas? What the? All right. Did you hear that? We all heard that.
Yeah, that was my phone making a weird noise. I silenced it. I thought I silenced it. I silenced the wrong button, I guess.
Let's see. What else? Oh, Lermite told you that a Pied Noir gangster named Bernadette Blanchard coerced him into using the stone on Helene Degan. So you let him go, and you started making plans to confront Ms. Blanchard. Oh, in the process of all of that, you found out that there were ghouls living in the caverns underneath Lermite's garage. Carol put a word to the appropriate person through the grapevine, and the appropriate authorities blew Lermite's garage to Kingdom Come, leaving a crater in the ground. So, there you go. So I think what you were going to do next, if I remember correctly, was deciding, do you want to poke the bear? which is to say the mieux. The mieux. French. Mileu. I think it's milieu.
I didn't remember much of my French from high school. Or grammar, whatever school
I go
took
with
it
yeah.
in. Are we ready? Is the question. Do we have enough power? Do we have enough?
Milieu.
Well, let's look at
Hey,
it.
did you hear that?
Milieu.
Short term, it's easily
Milieu.
done. I mean, these people aren't themselves particularly powerful. They may be ensconced in some place which is potentially dangerous to us, but I don't see the four of us having any problem getting there. I think
No.
the big question we're going to have to ask is: are we ready to face the consequences of hooking this particular bear?
Yeah, really.
The bear has friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I'm not a person to be addressing that question because I really don't have a whole lot of dog in this fight. Because even if they come after me, they're going to regret it one way or the other, short term and long term. Because I don't really have a reputation to worry about.
Dr. Celadon doesn't actually have a lot to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Well,
pretty
his
independent, whereas Johnny Diamond has the bar. Carol has a real job.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
a lot of authority and really good pay.
With tangling with the milieu will actually enhance my reputation. It will not diminish it in any way. So I think the two of you really are the ones who have to worry and have to ask yourselves the question is, do you want to do this? Or is there a method that we can attempt?
I'm going to go with that. Milieu. It's an abomination and it's American, but that's what I'm going to go. Milieu.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note of that somewhere because
Okay.
I like being consistent.
Well,
Just as a by the way, for all of those of you who own cats, which I know is all of you, my cat finally figured out a way to jump onto an otherwise inaccessible box top, which I'm not kidding is about this big, one adult cat, and was standing there staring at me, waiting for me to freak out because he's like right next to a very large, fragile Lego construction. It's absolutely priceless. It's like, well, here I am. Like, it doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. He's not going to be able to do anything. He's just standing on there, on my socks, basically.
He's like, hey,
Why? Why would you?
it's
do that?
a nice Lego thing. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. But what if I? Milieu. I made a note.
Okay.
So, yeah, essentially, if you go up against the milieu, it will bring you to their attention. Now, Johnny Diamond. Now, here's how this plays out. From time to time, over the course of the past however many years it's been since Doc Celadon moved into the neighborhood, or when he first got there, he got several visits from people who wanted a piece of his action, so to speak. And after the first few got sent back as toads, the negotiations there became a bit more delicate. And eventually it got to the point where, and this is more implied than actually stated, Lloyd, but the implication was made to you, and it was clear enough, but it was like, again, it was like implied, that as long as you don't go to work for them, like, let's say a Parain gangster is talking to you, as long as you don't go to work for the Pied Noir, we'll leave you alone. And vice versa, the Maghrebi say, well, as long as you don't go to work for the Parain, we're good. And your piece of that is like money changes hands and you deliver a product and you have no loyalty.
Right. It is purely a business transaction. There's no connection there whatsoever.
And after that kind of arrangement was made, still once every 6 months or so, somebody would come around and like test your boundaries, and you'd make it clear that your boundaries were still there. And but then like a year ago, that just simply stopped happening. Nobody's come around in like a year. So you think, well, I don't know what you think, but you've been left alone essentially for a year to do what you want to do. And from time to time, people from this gangster or that gangster, whatever, come around, and maybe they say who they're from, maybe they don't. But they pay you money, you turn over some. It's typically small time stuff for the milieu is typically defense charms, that kind of thing. The bulk of your clientele, as I understand it, are lowlifes, so prostitutes and hoodlums and that sort of thing. So for the prostitutes, it's youth potions, and for the hoodlums, it's defensive charms or luck charms. You get a couple of like hopeless gamblers who want luck charms.
Right.
And the thing about luck charms is they do work for a while.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah. However, I can only imagine that most of the casinos in the area have ways of detecting them too.
Or just countering them. Because you know it's possible. And you could in your what I'm sure is your professional ethics compel you to tell these guys, any casino worth its salt is going to have stuff at the door that will just negate this while you're in the room. And they're like, no, I've got a good feeling. Because they're gamblers. They can't help it.
System.
I just need that little edge. So there you go. So that's your deal. Leslie, I don't know what Leslie's involvement with the milieu would be. You seem to be just kind of like a fringy kind of person. You perform at bars or clubs or whatever. Probably.
Yeah, I don't think they bother me much.
Yeah. Well, show business people, they probably just don't think you're valuable enough to bother threatening. Like they don't need to control
you. Right
you.
Now that if they do bother me, I might do something nasty to them too. It's called a fairy curse.
Well, you totally could, but generally speaking, you're not famous enough to be worth
bothered, which is good.
Yeah, you're plus your show business, and that's those people are unsavory. Even by gangster
As
standards.
opposed to the milieu.
Well, there's unsavory.
The gangsters don't like you because they think you're a lowlife.
And Carol,
That's
you're
scary.
as far as I know, you're pretty clean cut. Probably the grimiest person, most unsavory person you know is Johnny Diamond.
Absolutely.
I certainly would.
I put Johnny Diamond as grimier as even Lloyd's character. The good doctor.
Celadon. Yeah. The doctor. Johnny Diamond.
Come on, call him Edwin.
Eddie.
You know what happened to the last person who called me that? Neither does anybody else.
Let's see. And Johnny Diamond.
Well, that solves the question of your paternity, at least.
That was just me.
Aw. Realistically, for Johnny Diamond to stay independent, he's got to periodically pay people off. No, that includes the cops. Like,
Oh no, you pay everybody off a little bit.
Right.
That way, if anybody decides to renege on it, everybody else will jump them.
Inspector Seagal is the guy who's pretty much the main. He's a full police inspector, and if he wants, he can call in like a whole bunch of uniformed gendarme to raid the place, which is typically how that works. And if you remember, like a year ago when there was that thing with the courier bag, basically he just shut you down for like a couple of days, just because he can. But as long as you give him free drinks and the occasional bribe, he's actually a fairly nice guy. So, I mean, he's not cruel. He never insults you. He's always, as long as money's changing hands, he's respectful to you. So, I don't want to dictate your relationship, but from his point of view, it's a business relationship, a friendly business relationship.
Oh yeah.
One in which he's the one who gets paid.
In this period, there was a lot of bribery going on into the police force, I think.
So there you go. There's that.
Yeah. It's France. How do you think the police force funds themselves?
Let's see. Oh, and as far as the milieu go, like once in a while, somebody will come around, and what I would imagine, and you can correct me, you can put this in your own words. What I would imagine is if they're rude and intrusive, You rough them up, because chances are
Yeah.
you can. And but otherwise, it's sort of like every once in a while somebody
Well, I don't
wants to
rough them
pay
up.
off,
I have
and
people who do that.
you you have minions.
I have people who rough people up for me.
So what you do is you then go to the heads of all of the other organized crime families and just casually complain that somebody was giving you problems.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that.
No, I probably go to their boss and go, really? You're sending these guys out, or
You know this person.
yeah,
You know this person.
is this guy just like trying to use his own initiative? Because you might want to talk to him about being careful with that.
Yeah. Oh, if it matters to you at all, both Doc Celadon's, and I don't know if Doc Celadon may not know this, but Johnny Diamond would, is that both the Café Azure Americain and that area where Doc Celadon's living near the park, those are both Pied Noir neighborhoods.
Okay.
Okay.
If it matters. So the guys who come around are typically, well, for Johnny Diamond anyway, are actually Doc Celadon's like right on an edge. So sometimes they're Perrine, sometimes they're Pied Noir, whatever. But for the Café Azure Americain, the people who come around are almost always Pied Noir. And they don't want to take over. They don't want to put one of their guys on staff with you or anything like that. They basically just make it clear, time to pay. And I'm thinking you'll probably keep them waiting for a couple of hours. And then, pay, and then they go, and it's basically peace.
Yeah.
That's how I'm picturing it. But if you picture it differently, let me know.
No, I'd make them sweat for it, but they get it because it's easier than causing trouble.
Fair enough. Okay.
But since they're going through the trouble of doing it, I make sure that it's trouble for them. Because if they're going to go through the trouble of doing it, I ought to make it troublesome.
Fair enough.
Somebody decides to go in and cause trouble. What do? Not make trouble? No, they're in there for trouble. So you give them a little trouble.
Otherwise, I wonder what is going on.
So, the key thing here is not really how deep we want to get into this. Because that's easy, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is, how do we convince Marguerite not to get herself killed?
Yeah, that's true.
I would rather she concentrate on getting her sister back. Because after all, sisters...
Yeah, well, no. All she wants is the name of the person responsible, and I have that name, and that name would get her killed.
Absolutely.
No.
Well, we've got two potential names here. We've got Galabru, the God help us boyfriend, and then we've got Bernadette Blanchard, and she's the one that I actually saw.
Yeah, Blanchard is the name.
Well,
The
I don't know if he was the one who was actually responsible, since they were an item. Maybe we should ask him. It's a distinct possibility that we
No,
could.
Blanchard is a she.
What's that?
Blanchard
Galabru.
is the she.
Galabru's the boyfriend. That's the one you saw.
Galabru is the boyfriend.
Yeah, maybe
No,
we could talk to him and see if we
I
can.
don't.
Blanchard's the one who put the task to it.
Yeah. Well, that's if the idiot that we roughed up was actually telling the truth. But I've seen her in the retrospective that I did on the girl's mind, and she did show up. Blanchard did show up in it. So
Wait,
So-
what? No.
sorry, no.
No. Galabru and Lermite did.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
No, the first time you heard of Blanchard was from Lermite.
Was from Lermite. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think for the safety of Marguerite, you may want to give the boyfriend's name. Because I'm sure she can handle him without repercussions.
I don't know about that.
No.
They're both mid-level
Yeah.
organized.
Either way, she's gonna die. The trick is she either goes after the wrong person
Mm-hmm.
and gets knocked off because of it, or goes after the right person and gets knocked off
Because
because
of it.
of
Yeah.
who the person is, rather than just what she's doing. I think all I can do is tell her that if she acts on this, she will be dead.
That
And
might be the best bet.
her sister will be in a mental asylum, and none of her family will ever see the light of day again except through the lid of a coffin.
I don't know, Brandon. This is a nuts and bolts kind of question. How difficult would it be for me to get into somebody's mind and just read and just use telepathy on them without them noticing?
Without them noticing is harder. It's possible, but it's harder. And also, it depends on if they've got any kind of... It's just a normal person, without them noticing is harder. But if they've got any defenses of the sort that, like, you routinely sell to low-level gangsters,
Right.
it's like one more step harder. Not impossible, harder.
Well, I can always try, see if I can get into this guy's head and see what his involvement is. I can't guarantee it, though. It's going to be very hit or miss and be very situationally dependent, I would assume. I don't know if I did this before, Brandon, but it's certainly the sort of thing that I would want to do is while we were at the casino that Gallagher runs, I'd like to see what kind of magical defenses he has up in the building, if any.
Oh, sure. Let's see. I actually had a roll for that somewhere. Let's see. Supernaturals? No. Magic. Magicness. Presence of magic. Source of magic. Oh, yeah. Perception power. So you could do this while you're there. Right. So it's a perception skill with your power attribute.
Okay.
And I will roll against you. And we shall see what we get. Where's my dice? There's my dice.
That's a good question. Where are my...
Okay, I rolled 19.
Well, if I've not yet rolled, my dice roller just now came up. But if I rolled a 12, I would still have less than 19. So, yeah. At all the entrances, because there's like the front door and then Jesus.
What the heck are you doing, Karen?
All I did was search in a bag. I was looking for my dice bag.
Oh, hold on. I know where your dice are. Okay. I was going to say, I remember seeing your dice. I know where they are, but if you found them, you're good.
Yep.
All right. There's inconspicuous plaques near the doors, and then there are even less conspicuous, like hidden, like behind a light fixture or something near the doors. So there's like more than one thing. But at all the entrances, and also the doors that go to the kitchen, and the door that goes behind the bar, and the door that goes to the bathroom hallway, yeah, all that stuff. Also, you see something in the light fixtures above several of the tables where like baccarat or roulette are being played. So it's festooned.
Okay. All right, so the best bet would be to get him out of that building if I'm going to try and perform any kind of mental attack on him.
Makes sense.
Does he ever leave?
Yeah, he leaves. He basically keeps hours very much like Johnny Diamond. He probably gets up at the crack of noon, goes, has a beignet and a cafe au lait somewhere in a sidewalk cafe, and maybe visits a mistress or something, and then mid-afternoon shows up at his casino and then hangs out there until it closes. Although now, since he's not seeing Helene, and to be frank, he did this even when he was seeing Helene, once in a while a young woman will catch his eye at the casino and they'll leave early.
Okay. All right, well, again, John, this is your gig, but it looks like what I can do is just catch him when he's not at the casino and he's not under his own protections. I can give it a try and see if I can get into his mind far enough to find out what his, just what his involvement was with the girl, and see if just how much he had to do. That is not a pleasant looking.
Just to remind you once again what this man about town lady killer looks like.
Yeah, not a pleasant fellow.
Yes.
The possibility of me getting caught, I'm figuring, is rather small, but the possibility of me finding out any particular useful information, we don't know. And I won't know until I actually get in there and make my attack.
Well, I won't turn down any help or information that you can gather. Have that.
All right, well, I'll look upon it as a challenge, I suppose.
All right, what do you do? What's your plan?
Find a cafe where he normally frequents in the morning.
Okay,
or in
so
the afternoon.
you guys go about your normal routines for like a week or so, and intersperse that with various investigation kind of things. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yep.
So while you're doing this, other people can be doing other things. But in general, people are just going about their lives and intermittently investigating. So like a week is going to pass before the next like big thing happens. So you figure out, or you find out, a cafe that he frequently stops at. Actually, you find out he's extremely a creature of habit. He stops at the same cafe almost every day. So you find that.
Okay, in which case I'll set it up there, and make sure that I'm reasonably close, but set up the spell ahead of time so that I'm not making a whole lot of a spectacle of myself when I do it. Reset as much as possible, and then just assume a morning that he'll be there and cast the thing on him when he gets there.
Cool. Okay, so what you'll be rolling is your thaumaturgy presence roll plus your power. You just like straight add it. So it's a thaumaturgy roll. So if you've got expertise with thaumaturgy, you get the bonus die for that.
Right.
Then you add your presence, you add your power, and you're going against his presence plus any defensive equipment he might have.
Right.
So here we go. Not bad.
23.
Hang on, I'm still counting. Zowie. Okay, let's see how
Always
many.
knew that advanced math degree would come in handy for something.
Okay, I'll let you look for three things or ask three questions because you hit it by that much.
Okay.
So you sift through and like pluck three things out. What are you looking for?
Okay. Looking for his degree of involvement in the girl's having her brain destroyed, essentially.
The first he learned of her being missing was when somebody mentioned to him that she had been found. So he didn't even know she was missing.
He had no idea.
No, didn't really care.
Okay, yeah, it's
But somebody mentioned, hey, isn't that dame you were seeing? It's like in the paper, socialite found, et cetera, et cetera. It's like some newspaper article. And she's like on the page 6 or something. And he's like, oh yeah, huh. And then went about his business.
okay. Let's see. Did he have any? Does he know anything about what might have happened to her?
Nah. You find nothing about that.
Interesting.
All right. What's his most embarrassing secret?
That's your digging.
He has been buying what they call here in the Empire, they call it contraband liquor, which is to say alcohol that has not been properly taxed or inspected. Because oddly enough, they're extremely uptight about their purity laws. Beer, wine, liquor, they all have like all kinds of bureaucracy inspecting it, making sure there's no nitrates in the wine, all kinds of stuff like that. Beer has to be made by with specific things and not other specific things. So, yeah, he's been buying contraband liquor from a guy who runs a garage down in Tredoc de Mer. And
Is that our friend Lamont?
it could be buying it by the barrel and selling it at his clubs because he owns like 3. The other 2 are just nightclubs. He's only one is a casino. The other 2 are nightclubs. And but he's been selling it as Russian vodka. That is his most embarrassing secret.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's also like a complete reprobate. He's absolutely vile, but he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He feels no guilt about that.
Right. Yeah, so if at a later date I couldn't hold it over his head, it's like, listen, you beat up 16-year-old girls and raped them, and he'd be like, yeah, and?
Yeah,
so,
and?
yeah, that's not really something I can hold over his head.
Also known as Tuesday.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted something that he would find embarrassing.
Then how did he appear in her memories?
That's
Unless he's had his memory wiped.
Hang on, hold that thought, Leslie. The thing about selling rot gut liquor as Russian vodka, that would actually get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of things the authorities can just turn a blind eye to if you bribe them. That's not one of them, oddly enough. So
yeah, running a still in your basement or in somebody's garage is not going to get you looked upon kindly by the ABC.
yeah, so there you go. So what was your question, Leslie?
How did he appear in the girl's memories then? Unless he's had his own mind erased.
She was seeing him. She'd been seeing him for like 6 months. Publicly. Like arm candy kind of thing. And other kinds of candy. But
she remembered seeing him at her torture.
No. Well, the memories were very hazy, right? They're out of order.
Okay.
But she was right before that happened. She saw him. It was within the hour before that happened. Where and when and exactly how or why is not clear, or was not clear to Doc Celadon. She definitely saw him within an hour of that happening.
Okay, here's a question. What garage was he buying this liquor out of?
Well, I'm sure that's something Doc Celadon would want more attention. But you pull it up and it's definitely the same guy. The same guy you found to have beaten somebody to death.
So now we can get him in trouble with his bosses from buying bootleg liquor from an opposing family.
Or we could just tell Carol to call the imperial equivalent of the ABC and let him know that he's buying the bootleg liquor and have him raid his place.
Yeah, that's true. I can always put another tip in.
But I mean, at this point, how badly do we want to rain on this guy's parade? At this point, oh, by the way, I'll report back to Johnny Diamond and tell him what I found out.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got no involvement in this girl's demise.
You didn't ask a third question, so I'll just throw something out there because it's useful. Well, I don't know if it's useful. It's background information.
Okay.
He knows that the girl's father was in debt to him. He has that kind of self-deception thing that I think a lot of us have. It might have occurred to him at some point that she's throwing herself at him to protect her father, but
Right.
he has convinced himself that it's simply because she finds him irresistible.
Does he own a mirror?
Like I said,
That's like 10
self-deception.
miles of bad road right there. Whoa.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Now, since she was seeing him, as a courtesy, he basically left her father alone. But
Okay.
he believes that that's not why and that she was seeing him.
Sheer coincidence.
Sheer coincidence.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah.
Anyway,
I
so
will-
Doc Sullivan goes to Johnny Diamonds and does that. So, hey, in the passing, we'll say that's like 3 or 4 days for Doc Sullivan to lay the groundwork for that and get that done. Oh, and you do this and you finish it and you're like looking at a cup of cafe au lait or whatever and doing your like trance thing, like you're looking through his head. You finish up and, out of the corner of your eye, you see him like shake his head and like do this and then say, fold up his newspaper and stuff the rest of a croissant in his mouth and say, all right, time to go. And they leave, and he doesn't appear to be any of the wiser. So,
Okay.
yay. So you go to Duncan. In that 3 or 4 days, is anybody else looking into anything? Let's go right to left. Leslie,
I get more.
you got 3 or 4
Well,
days. Doing anything
I
investigatory?
did care enough for her that I'll make sure that her sister is doing her best to take care of her. So that's one of the things I'm checking on. Very covertly.
You back again? All right.
Yeah.
Make a diplomacy roll.
Okay. Well,
And I think I gave you
I was saying,
expertise with that. So
yeah. Well, I
roll
just
3
realized I
dice.
kept saying I was going to get my dice, but didn't get my dice.
So it'd be 3 dice plus your presence. Let's see what she gets. Ooh, she rolls really well. Really well.
And she's got good presence too.
Yeah, she does not have
Not,
expertise
like,
in
very
diplomacy,
good,
but because she's not diplomatic.
Luckily enough, they're in the same room as I am.
So you have
Let's see,
expertise, so
today.
3 dice plus your presence, and tell me what you get.
Okay. 3 dice plus my presence. Ooh. Nice number. Looks like 17.
Zowie! Wow, I thought I rolled well. I did roll well, but you rolled better. All right. You back there and you're like, you want to know that she's being taken care of, et cetera, et cetera. And at first, Marguerite is her same uptight self, but you managed to convince her that your interest is sincere, and this is not the first time you've come by to check on her. So
Yeah.
her veneer cracks a little bit, and she says, "Okay, you can see her, but don't
Thank you.
be careful what you say, because
Okay.
the what are they like? Shoot, fathers. Father, is that a Catholic thing? Is that what they call them? Father?
Father.
Yeah. Well, it
He's
depends.
a priest.
Depends on the rank.
If he's just a regular priest, he's a father.
Oh, well,
From there
okay,
you go up.
she'll say father.
monsignors and-
Okay.
Father Javert, he's been coming by every day, and I think she's doing better. But he said to be
Oh,
very
that's
careful
good.
what we talk to her about. So be very careful what you
Okay.
talk to her about. So she'll show you in, and Marguerite, Helene's there, and she actually like looks up when you walk in, and she says, "Do I know you?" So
Yes. but it was a while ago. I've just been thinking about you and wanted to make sure you're okay.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you.
We used to see each other a long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah, and I found you you a very wonderful person to talk to. I miss your company.
oh. Well, I've been very ill,
I
so
heard, and I was very sorry to hear that.
thank you. Well, perhaps when I'm feeling better, we can have conversations. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
My name is Leslie.
Oh, hello, Leslie. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to see that you're well. Nice to see that you're recovering. And
Thank
I
you.
hope you continue to do so. And yes, I would like to see you again to talk.
And you hear
Maybe
you hear
maybe
like a
have a
low
lunch.
growl from Marguerite.
Yeah. I said maybe just to have lunch somewhere.
We'll see, Marguerite says. So,
Okay, yes.
well, why don't you? We'll leave you to what you're doing. She's like arranging flowers, and all right. Well, we just want to stop by, Helene. I'll be back in a bit. And she like ushers you out.
It's good to see you. Well, I'll say real quick, it's good to see you healthy again.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll willingly go with her because she was nice enough to let me see the.
You are not
Fear.
seeing her again.
If that's what you wish, but I thought you said you wanted me to be careful what I said, so I was careful.
Okay, fine. You were fine.
Well, I'm very glad to see that. I'm very glad to see she's feeling better. I'm very happy about that.
Me too. Me too.
And I continue to hope that she does do a lot better.
Okay. She shows you to the door, and she's like, "Well, you can come again, if you like."
Thank you. I would like that very much.
Okay.
Thank you very
Good
much.
day.
Bye.
So, anything else in the 3 or 4 days while Celadon's doing his thing?
I I broke the tight ass.
You wore down her defenses.
You should send her
Okay,
flowers.
Carol, you got 3 or 4 days. You are kept very busy at work, as always. You are, Deputy Director Petronovich. She doesn't exactly play favorites with you, and she doesn't actually overtly appear to like you, because she doesn't overtly appear to like anyone. But you can kind of tell that you have her respect. Like when you're in a meeting and somebody says something, and you have learned by now with these old farts that you'll think of something when they're talking, like, well, that's not right, or how about this, and if you try to say it, then they're just going to talk over you. So later on, you'll say it to your boss, and then he'll say it to the other people, and then they'll pay attention to it. So that's kind of become like routine. It's grating, but that's the routine. But you've noticed that from not every time, but from time to time, something will cross your mind to mention to your boss, Guy, later, and Deputy Director Petronovich will say, "Carol, what do you think about that?" And at the first couple of times, like, throws you off guard, but after that, you just come out and say it, and sometimes she agrees and sometimes she doesn't. But she always listens to you, and she makes sure other people shut up and listen to you too. So that's as close as she gets to being like friendly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's called playing favorites for her.
Yeah, that's
a big deal with that type of crowd.
yeah. No one else really notices because, like I say, she's pretty cold to everybody, including you. But within her range of responses, that's warmth.
Yeah.
So
Oh, by the way, dollar store licorice, really good stuff.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, the Wily Wallaby.
Yeah,
Wiley Wallaby licorice.
Wiley Wallaby Australian style licorice. It's actually really good.
Wow,
Cool.
for $1, can't
For
go
a
far
dollar.
wrong for $1.
And it's a relatively substantial, 4 6-ounce package.
Is it like Dollar Tree or is it like a local dollar?
No, it's Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I've seen it at Dollar Tree.
Penny.
Weirdly
Oh,
enough,
Dollar
Bed Bath
Tree.
& Beyond sells it too, but not for $1.
The Beth
No,
is
they're
probably
like
like
$5
$14
It's $17.99.
or $12 with a 20% off coupon.
We've got a lot of 20% off coupons.
Oh my gosh, I got rid of so many when I moved.
Let's see what else. Oh, but so other than that, Carol, is there anything you want to look into or whatever?
No, I don't have any more information yet until he shows up and tells me.
Okay, that's fine. And Giant Diamond, anything you want to send your minions after in the 3 or 4 days between the time you...
No, because the information that I would send them out after is the information that he is taking these 3
Okay,
4
great.
days to get.
So Thursday night, let's say. No, let's say Friday night. Friday night, the place is packed, and Leslie's band is playing, and Doc Celadon comes in. It's oddly enough, Friday night is a very busy work night for Doc Celadon because as this from around late lunch to early evening, lots and lots of hookers are coming.
Poker games get started around Friday night.
Yeah, there's the gamblers, there's the prostitutes, there's just so it's people prepping for the weekend.
Yep.
So your Friday evenings are pretty much packed. So probably around 9:00, Doc Celadon wanders in, and you guys have your talk, and he brings you up to speed, and I guess the rest of you can drop in or be part of that as in between sets for Leslie or whatever. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Now what? You've been briefed by Doc Celadon one way or the other.
All right. Do we know where the other person in interest hangs out?
Blanchard.
Yes, Blanchard. Do we know anything about her?
That is something Johnny Diamond could look into because he had the name and he had a few days.
Yeah.
All I know about her so far is that she is smoking hot and hard as nails. Doesn't really help all that much.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So give her a call.
Johnny Diamond puts the word out through the grapevine. And the thing about this is you have to be very, very subtle about it.
Yeah,
because
I was gonna say
you
I'm
don't
kinda
want
in
her to know you're looking for her, right?
Right, but I'm kind of in her area.
How you figure?
Right? Isn't she?
No, the neighborhood you're in is a Pied Noir controlled neighborhood, but it's not like borders of countries. It's more like pockets here, pockets there. It's not contiguous.
Right. But it's at least the family that I'm used to dealing with.
Yeah, but you're dealing with people like 2 steps slower than her.
Right.
When people come by to get money, they report to somebody who then reports to somebody who reports to her. Or somebody like her, somebody at her level. Maybe not her, but somebody at her level.
Okay.
She's not the only person at her level. She has one person above her, and that person, there's only like 3 or 4 people at that level in Camaret-sur-Mer. So that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
Just assume it makes sense.
Okay. No.
But anyway, what you find out through the grapevine is her front business, her main front business, the one where her actual office is, where she can usually be found, is a bakery and catering service called La Madeleine. So they have a small like coffee shop and bakery that's just like a very tiny bedroom size place. Like there's like a table and 2 chairs, and you can walk up to a counter, and the counter is like a glass front thing with lots and lots and lots of pastries, and they sell coffee, and behind them are shelves with lots and lots of pastries, but mainly what they do is catering, like lunches and weddings and expensive dinners and that kind of thing.
I used to stop into a place in Richmond and Carytown like that.
Did you really?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it was exactly as you described it. It was a catering place, and they had like literally 1 lawn table and 2 lawn chairs in the front of their store.
There you go. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, baptisms. That's their main thing. Like they do wedding cakes, stuff like that. They
Okay.
provide beignets and croissants and things like that to corporate parties and so forth. And small coffee shops that don't actually have their own bakery, they supply those over a fairly
Okay.
wide area. So, La Madeleine.
Is the Azure Americana one of the coffee shops that they supply to?
Could be. Do you want it to be?
Yeah, sure.
Well, it just so happens that you are.
Oh wow!
They're not
It
the only
fits-
bakery that supplies you, because you can't just rely on one, because of what if happens to that something they burn down and you're stuck. But
Right.
yeah, they're one of like 2, maybe 3 bakeries you do business with.
Yeah, I figured if the family is sending people to make little collections, we're going to be doing business.
Makes sense.
Okay. In that case, I will ask for our latest invoice. I will dig through the files and find the latest invoice to come from them.
Okay, you find it.
Fold it up neatly in my jacket pocket, and head on down there.
Alone?
Yes. Alone.
Wow.
Well, no. Okay, I'll have someone drive me,
Okay.
but they'll stay in the car, and I'll walk in the.
Mm.
You walk in. There's people behind the counter, and you walk up to the counter.
I
They
pull
say,
out the.
"Bonjour. What do you want?"
Bonjour. I pull the invoice out of my jacket. I am from the Cafe Azure Americana. May I speak to the owner? And just show him the top of the invoice.
One moment. And they talk to themselves, and one of them goes into the back, and some guy comes out wearing an apron and a chef's hat. He's like, "Monsieur, can I help you? You are from the Cafe Azure Americain?"
Yes. I was looking through the latest invoice. I was wondering if Miss Blanchard could have a moment.
He blinks several times. Invoice. May I see the invoice?
Certainly.
Gulp.
I-
Takes the
I-
invoice.
I hand him a perfectly plain, normal invoice with nothing wrong with it, except for a 20 franc bill folded up in it.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, then. 10 then?
No, I mean it's not a
Should I roll
ridiculous
this-
amount of money.
Should I roll to see how much
it's like
I'm bribing him?
it's like $50.
Yeah, okay, 20 franc.
Okay.
A 20 franc.
He's
Folded up in it.
he folds it very carefully back. Says, "Monsieur, I see nothing wrong with this invoice," and he hands it back to you.
And is the money gone?
No.
The money
he
is still
he
there?
folded it right back up and handed it back.
He's more afraid of her than he is of you.
Yep.
Is there?
But if you have a problem at all, how about your next order on the house, because you are such a valued customer.
Oh, I would not take.
In
the
fact,
food
please,
from-
please. He reaches down behind the
Yeah.
counter. He gets a big unfoldy cardboard box thing, and he starts filling it with pastries. He's like, no, please. We want to have you as a happy customer. And he folds it up and he hands it to you. He says, with our compliments. With our compliments.
Merci. Please, when you are in the mood for a cafe, when you are in the mood for a coffee, please come see me.
Of course.
Your drinks. As you have shown me welcome in your establishment, you shall find welcome in mine.
Yeah. Make a let's see what you got. Diplomacy.
Culture.
Make a diplomacy roll.
Diplomacy roll. Okay. 2d6. Diplomacy is reason. 16.
Damn, good roll. You needed 12. I rolled really well, but you roll better. As he's handing it to you, his hands are shaking. He is terrified, but not of you.
Told you. Man.
Okay. Yeah.
Just letting you know. The people behind the counter is like a boy and a girl. They're probably like 18, 19. They are oblivious.
Okay.
They continue serving customers around you while he's talking to you. They're basically Starbucks baristas. You know,
Okay,
one's probably going to
as
school to
I
learn
take
how to paint.
Yeah, as I take the baked goods from him, I tell him in a very gentle voice, I shall report nothing but the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And he hustles back into the back.
Okay, that didn't quite work out the way I was hoping for.
He was so afraid he was going to get in trouble. He wasn't going to help you.
Apparently, this chick is Attila the Hun, man.
Yeah.
She might be.
Well, you'd think we'd have heard more about her if that were the case.
I know if if it wouldn't take a few weeks to come into effect, I'd accidentally miss a payment and see what happens. But I don't think I want to try that right now.
No.
Kieran, can you find out anything about her that we might not know about?
I thought I was giving it a dress, maybe? I don't know.
No,
I thought I
like,
looked this for
whether
last
she's got
time.
any kind of a reputation, or a rap sheet, or anything like that.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I remember you already looked this up.
Yeah.
Carol already looked this up. Bernadette Blanchard is from Algeria. Algeria was under imperial control, under French control, up until about 10 years ago. Oh, as a side note, in the real world, it was under French control until around 1962.
Yep.
In this world, that actually ended about 8 years earlier than that, for other reasons. Because Algeria got kind of tied up in the war with the Ottomans, and et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really matter. I'll make a timeline someday. Essentially, now, Algeria is under self-rule outside of the Franco-Prussian Empire and outside of the Ottoman Republic. They're kind of like a buffer state, in a way. So, it was part of the treaty that was never actually ratified with the Ottomans. I had a word for it. There's a word when you stop the armistice. So the Franco-Prussian Empire and the Ottoman Republic had an armistice, a ceasefire, that was supposed to lead to a treaty. They could never actually decide on the terms of the treaty.
Yeah.
So essentially what they have is a temporary ceasefire that has lasted about 15 years now. So that's kind of what's going on with that.
Okay,
And-
kind of like the Korean conflict.
Sure. I actually don't know as much about that as I should, but sure.
Oh yeah, the Korean War finally ended earlier this year.
Mhm.
The one that's been going on since the early 50s.
I do recall reading something about that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, the Great War between, and it was called actually the Second Great Ottoman War. That's what they call it within the empire. The first Great Ottoman War was, I think, the 1600s. So which just shows you that there's still some animosity.
I'm assuming things like world wars are not. The world wars never happened.
Well, that the Second Great Ottoman War is
What is
essentially kind of a combination of World War I, World War II.
Okay.
That was the big war between the Europe and everybody else. It wasn't Europe with itself; it was Europe with everybody else.
And I don't remember. Does the United States exist in this world or no?
the Confederation of American States. They do exist. They are barbarians. But they
That's right, we are.
they export bourbon and movies and music. They have a very vibrant entertainment export industry, and there are quotas and limitations on tariffs, heavy tariffs on all that stuff, because the empire thinks that American entertainment is uncouth, which it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and rightfully so.
Which means
You're
there is
saying
a
Confederate
thriving
States,
there's
which
a
means I'm
thriving
assuming-
black market in American jazz and
But of
American
course.
movies.
I'm assuming that by Confederated American States, you are saying that the Confederacy won the war.
No, there was never a confederacy.
Okay. They just always...
The American states never really got unionized as a union.
Uh-huh.
So if it's essentially the thing that came before the Constitution,
Articles of Confederation.
right? Okay, that was much looser than the U.S. Constitution was. Essentially, every single state was still its own little country, but they
Okay.
worked together for international trade and defense.
Okay.
But every little state is basically its own little fiefdom, and there's all kinds of infighting, and that's its own thing. You know, it's a brutal, brutish, uneducated, terrible
Germany
place to live.
before unification.
Hmm?
Like Germany before unification.
Not too different from that, actually. Yeah.
The German states where you've got like, a German country within a German country within a German country.
Yeah. So, for the purposes of this game, there's the CAS is over there, and basically they're just a source of cowboys and movies and bourbon
And booze.
and black market magic, and there's also a
Wait, Americans dealing in black market magic? Say it ain't so.
usually of either the natives, because the natives actually had shamans and things that could resist. So North America is not just one big American state thing. There's like large areas that are still under Native American control because they can be. So it's a mess. Essentially, they've got their own wars, and they've been fighting wars with the Indians for like years and years and years and years. So, but that's all over there. That's their problem. They're barbarians, so they deserve each other. Anyway, where was
And
I?
if you need any evidence about the barbarians, yeah. You notice how polite Johnny is.
Oddly enough, way up there in the northern territories, they're much nicer.
Well, yeah, they're closer to the natives.
And there is or was, I haven't decided. Probably say was. There was a sizable imperial colony, like in the far north of North America, and a smaller one right along the coast. But during the Ottoman War, they basically just let those loose. They cost more money than they made, so there was a losing proposition financially. So the empire just said, "Oh, you're free. Manage your own affairs." So that's the northern one is where Johnny's from.
Sounds like how they ended that war in the 1760s too.
So where were we? Before I got all sidetracked. I'm sorry.
I was trying to figure out how to have a polite conversation with Miss Blanchard without having an impolite conversation with her instead.
Oh, well, you come back to the bar and you have a big box of just excellent pastries.
Yes.
And
I was asking Carol if she could, if we found out anything.
that's right. That's how I got all off on that tangent. Carol had previously looked up Algeria. Yes. So back about 10 years ago, the empire essentially gave Algeria back to the Algerians after some years of them really, really wanting that. And it was like a whole thing. There's probably some bloodshed involved, but it didn't really impact you guys
Probably.
because it's like way over there. Who pays attention to that? It's like Africa.
Yeah, there were no emus, so the proper side won.
Well, all of the Pied Noirs, which is what they called people who were French, either by birth or by ancestry, they were all still French citizens. They were all still imperial citizens. They came back to the empire, and the Pied Noir gangsters, as part of the milieu, wait, I wrote it down. Milieu, as part of the milieu, they came with that. So the Pied Noirs were basically not really a factor in the milieu until about 20 years ago, which is when they started coming back. And then when it actually changed hands and Algeria became Algerian again, that's when the rest of them came back. So there's like a big influx of Pied Noir about 10 years ago. Bernadette Blanchard, according to the SIT... Oh, man, I'm so long-winded. According to SIT records, she was one of the first Pied Noir to come back, or to... They call it coming back because from their point of view, they never really stopped being French, even though, like, their grandparents came to Algeria, and their parents were born in Algeria, and they were born in Algeria. They still think of themselves as French. So from the Pied Noir point of view, they came back. So she was one of that first wave that came back around 25 years ago. So she's been doing what she's doing for that long. Oh, and you had a picture of her in your file, which is a very, 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 very old picture. But of a, woman in around late 20s, early 30s. Hard to tell. It's grainy. So that's what Carol does. She'll tell you that that stuff.
All right. So how do we contact the woman, or at least locate her?
I hand Doc Celadon a croissant and say, well, not through her bakery, obviously.
Well, at least it's a legitimate bakery here. The croissants are great.
Oh, yes, I intend to compliment her on them if I can ever find a way to get a meeting without, bullets being involved.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to contact her that doesn't involve kicking down the door.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So are we going to pursue this then?
Do we have a home address for her?
Yeah, do I have a home address for her? Or any address?
Make an investigation roll, Carol. Let's see if you found it while you were looking.
Let's see. All right. So investigation. I have expertise, so I get 3 dice.
So 3 dice plus your reason.
And my reason is... Alright, I need to make room for this. I rolled 3 sixes!
Good heavens. Wow.
Your house.
6!
So only a 24.
Only a 24.
So not only do you have the address of her business, you've got the address of her business office, which is actually in the same building but has a different door. And you also have the address of her house in town, which is an apartment in a high-rise building in the fancy part of town, the financial district overlooking the coast. Very expensive, very hoity-toity.
Nice.
You also find there's an apartment she owns in this part of town, and there's a country house way the hell out toward the toward where Cambrai-sur-Mer hits the rest of France, which is more rural. She also has a house out there.
Cool.
Okay.
Texas.
So
Cool.
that's what you
So,
got.
all right. I will relay that information to them. You chose the wrong door when you got these. If he has any, well, I'm going to help myself to one.
There's plenty of pastries. You can help yourself, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yes, I suppose I shouldn't have gone through legitimate circles.
It was a nice try, though.
All right. Well, let's see if we can track her down. Then.
Yeah, I was going to say, we could always try again.
So we are going to pursue this, huh?
Well, let's pursue it by a legitimate means, or at least subtle means, rather than.
I want to have a talk with her. I want to explain to her the situation. Because my job is not to mess with her job.
Okay.
My job, what I have been tasked with, is getting the name of the person responsible for Helene's condition. If that is Blanchard, then it's up to Blanchard where it goes from there or not. Because Maggie's just going to get herself killed.
A distinct possibility. The question is, what's Blanchard going to do about it when she finds out that we're poking our noses into her business?
Well, we're not.
Yes, we are. If we're asking about it.
We have come to this point and don't want to poke our nose into her business. Therefore, she can either give me a name to pass on, or we can come to some further business arrangement.
Well, I suppose you can sell that.
Or she could have us all gunned down, but no matter what we do, that'd happen if it's going to happen this way.
So currently it's around 9 o'clock on a Friday night. What's your plan?
9 o'clock on a Friday night. Wow, that's really too late to be going to her office.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do it in a less than savory manner.
No. I want to be as above board as possible on this one.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, yeah, kicking down doors, not a good plan here.
Banging on doors late at night when she might be chilling, not a good plan. Or when she's partying, bringing the store while she's out.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we knew she was out at her country house, yeah, swing by. She'd never expect it. But any of her in-town places, that would be way too likely to be misconstrued.
You could try calling out some of your contacts to see if you know where she actually is now. The downside of being a fairly high-level gangster is that there are a significant number of people who know where you are. It's hard to sneak around town when you've got a dozen people who report to you.
And other gangsters have to report to her.
It's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
I mean, she may be hard to reach wherever she is, but finding out where she is, you can probably do that.
I will give a try for doing that.
Hey, you pull your connected gift.
Yeah.
Make an investigation roll, throw your presence into it.
Investigation, so I get presence and reason?
Yeah.
Plus the 2d6?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that time I only got an 18.
Zowie. Let me see what I got. I should have rolled while I was talking. Oh, Jesus. I rolled really, really well. But you rolled better. So, let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny. Oh, you ask a guy to ask a guy who asks a guy, and he strikes somebody up in conversation. And about an hour and a half later, so it's like 10:30 at this point, you get a call, and it's not the guy, one of the guys you initially asked, it's some other guy who said, "Hey, Pierre said," and you don't know who Pierre is. Some guy. Pierre said you might want to know where lady named Blanchard was right now.
Mm-hmm.
Pianois? Yeah. She's got a place, First District. Last I heard, she went there and hasn't left. That's last I heard. Not saying she's still there. But that's last I heard. So is there money in this? I'm not good at negotiating.
Well, she's honest about that.
I've already told you what you want to know, and I'm telling you on the phone, and you could just hang up. It occurs to me I should have told you this in person.
Yes, well, when you catch up with me, if I'm still alive, perhaps I can pay you. Click.
My name... Oh, he hung up. Aww. Anyway, according to that guy, she's in her uptown swanky apartment.
Okay.
Like the Jeffersons. She moved on up to the east side.
I will place... No.
I'll be right back.
All right.
What is it, Mr. Higgins? What is it?
Okay, yeah, probably could be worth heading over. For this sort, 9 o'clock on a Friday night is not terribly late.
Well, it's like 10:30 now.
It's 10:30, 11 o'clock on a Friday night.
Alright. I can hear.
Okay, it's no longer early.
It is no longer early. This is true. On this, I can only agree with you.
Yeah, by now we gotta try and catch her tomorrow somewhere.
Yeah, that would probably be wise.
Knocking on a lady's apartment door at midnight is not the way to have a polite conversation.
No.
Oh well. Okay.
All right. So, I guess since we don't have Don, Lloyd, or Kieran, or Donald. Oh, Lloyd's back.
I'm here. I
Just
checked the scene.
When you're away from your microphone, Kieran, you
Yes?
sound kind of like a crumpled paper bag,
Okay, I will start taking my headphones off. Sorry.
and there's like a echoey effect going on.
That will go away after this week when we have furniture in the house for a change. Like I said, there's a cot, and a table, and a chair.
And Donald, are you gaming from the reclined position? Are you going to doze off at any moment?
I have no furniture. My monitor is sitting on the floor. My camera is on a very small box next to my computer tower.
Well, I appreciate the hardship you and Kieran are going through to play.
And my current furniture is a sleeping bag that I am using rolled up so that at least I have something to lean on.
Well, it's 9. Do we want to take like a 5-minute break to go do things? Or are you good?
I could probably use a break real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to refill my water.
Let's do 5-minute break, and then we'll decide what you guys are doing at 10:30 on a Friday night. Okay?
Yes.
Pausing. And we are back.
Yeah,
So,
we're back.
10:30 Friday, you think you know where Bernadette Blanchard is in her uptown First District apartment, overlooking either one of the many large courtyards and parks, or facing the ocean. So, if I understand correctly, you're deciding not to knock on her door,
at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Probably wise.
Yeah.
Being that gangsterhood is not really a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job.
She's probably awake.
Well, there's
And
that.
busy.
But what I was getting to is if you wanted to get her in her office, there's a good chance she'll be in it tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's try her office tomorrow.
I mean, you don't get to where she is in an organization by taking weekends off. Not in that organization, anyway.
Mm-mm.
I'm not telling you what to do, just giving you information.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan?
That's disturbingly funny. No, this.
Oh,
Oh, what?
This is what is disturbingly funny.
that's weird.
I'm sorry, I happen to be a fan of the Great Emu War. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Great Emu War.
Let's say I wasn't. Give me 20 words or less.
Okay.
What's the deal?
The Australian settlers started having run-ins with the wildlife, and so they called in the army, and the emu won.
Oh, jeez.
Twice.
They are very nasty birds. They're very aggressive, very nasty, very mean. Yeah, I can see them winning.
Against the army.
If you go on Wikipedia and just Emu War, it went from the 2nd of November to the 10th of December, 1932.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up.
And yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the farmers decided they needed to call the emu. And so the military was called in to fight the emu in 32, 34, 43, and 48. In 43 and 48, the government turned them down.
She's like, we're not stupid. We've already done this twice.
Yeah, for 1934, they instituted a bounty system in which over 57,000 bounties were claimed over a 6-month period.
Oh, so they were breeding them.
No, the emu were just that popular. And afterward, they started using exclusion barrier fencing instead of guns because the emu were not responding well to war.
Yeah, what was it, rats? I forget where. There was they put a bounty on rats. You just had to show them rat tails.
Yep. Started breeding them.
Yeah.
Because the bounty made it worth it.
Yeah, in the first Emu War, between the 2nd of November and the 10th of December, it is listed that 986 emus were killed at an expenditure of 9,860 rounds of ammunition.
That's the rabid dog effect right there.
Yeah, but look up the Great Emu War sometime. It is absolutely brilliant. One of those pieces of history that you just can't believe is real.
And yet it was. All right. So, yes, no, deciding not to go visit a high-rise
Not
apartment.
anything.
Okay.
The office.
Yeah.
I think we determined the office was the better bet.
Yeah. Office in the morning.
So Saturday, everybody gets up bright and early, crack of noon, or what?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crack of noon, you gather your forces. You all do a montage of belts tightening and pistols going into pockets and
We're Soviets now.
lacing up boots. Or what? What do you do? Tell me what you do.
No, we can be Soviets. We can do a montage.
Oh, great. Yeah, sure.
Let's not say we did.
Okay, then we don't need to do a montage.
What do you do?
Get up and go to Cafe Azure America.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to meet up with the.
Eventually, you all meet up there. You're there.
Yes.
Arlene brings you plates of scrambled eggs, bacon, grits. She introduced grits, by the way, to your brunch menu.
As long as there's a shrimp and grits on the menu, that's fine.
There you go.
Low country shrimp and grits.
Chances
And
are, since
it doesn't really translate into French, but she also introduced a sandwich called the Impoverished Young Man, which is
a poor boy.
Oh boy.
But
a very popular lunch sandwich now.
yeah.
Yes.
Leslie's probably looking at his grits, going, "What the hell is that?"
It's too thick to be a sauce, but not quite thick enough to be a soup. It's somewhere in between. Anyway.
Is this American?
So there you are. Saturday morning. The various busy bees who operate the Cafe Azure American are doing busy bee things. They're cleaning tables and mopping floors and polishing chandeliers. They're doing all the stuff that they do before people actually come in.
Okay.
And like I said, Fox Fairy's going to bring the plate up to his nose and sniff it. What's it smell like? The grits.
Butter, mostly.
I'd say if there's shrimp in it, it's going to smell like shrimp and butter. Yeah.
Yeah, shrimp. Well, if it's for
Yay.
breakfast, she probably didn't bring you shrimp and grits for breakfast. Probably just plain grits, but it's, it's mainly butter.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah, butter is something they're very familiar with.
well, in France, yes, I think butter is a big thing. If I'm not mistaken, or is it cheese?
Mm-hmm. Both of them.
both. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Johnny, I think you're going to be the one taking point on this. Hello, Cap.
I was wondering who wanted to stay behind.
Well, I can act as backup.
What, to inform your next of kin?
Should it all go wrong?
What are the odds of that?
All right.
Well, I can stay behind because I'm sure I can launch a very suitable fairy curse in her direction should you all die. But I'd rather go along.
Yeah, we
No, I
can't
can listen in. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
I said we can't all just walk out and leave him to go alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a perfectly good idea, right there.
So Johnny Diamond says, I think someone should stay behind, and the rest of you go, me!
No, I said I'd rather go.
Yeah. Doc,
Okay.
is anything? Well, she probably has things to keep you from listening in.
Likely.
Like if you were to give me a charm and listen into it, she would probably have something that would either keep it from working or tell her that it was working, and that would annoy her.
On the other hand, it could conceivably be convenient for you to have a magician by your elbow when you're talking to somebody like that.
Yeah, or a Fae warrior.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. Whereas there's a reasonable chance she might actually know who Doc Celadon is. But nobody's going to know that. I
I-
mean,
I-
it's not like Leslie doesn't go around announcing that he's a Fey
Nope.
warrior, you know.
I hate to bring it up too, but my character's persona around town is not that of a rogue magician because those are illegal. His persona is actually that of an over the hill bodyguard. Anyway, so it would make perfect sense for him to show up with Johnny Diamond because I'd be showing up in my role as a Bravo.
So
Okay, then.
Meanwhile, back to the
Celadon,
grits.
you talked me into it. You're going.
Okay.
so Johnny, these grit things, is there any nutritional value to them? Other than
Yes.
they smell.
They're made of corn.
They smell like butter.
Oh, there's quite a bit of that in them.
Corn, you say? Where's the meat?
In the shrimp.
Okay. I'll try it once.
Stop shooting me.
Where's the meat? That's what the andouille sausage is for.
Ooh. Okay, we'll try it once.
So, who's doing what? After,
All right,
after you finish
okay.
breakfast, let's say you finish breakfast. What's next? What do you do?
I'll go with Johnny.
I can go with him too.
Okay, I was thinking if Leslie and Carol stay in the car kind of thing,
Okay.
then if all else fails, Carol can go get the gendarme while Leslie it makes for large explosions.
Yeah, we could do that.
Two different backup plans. Got it.
Yeah.
I'll stay in the driver's seat then, and if that's the case, that way I can just go and after he ups out.
Yeah, just making sure we don't need rescuing, because if we don't make a plan for it, then we will need rescuing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I really want to
Sounds
poke
good.
holes in that because I don't like splitting the party, and also I think it would be less fun for Kieran and Leslie to be left behind. But on the other hand, you do make a valid point about backup and somebody who can run for help and so forth. What do you guys, Kieran and Leslie? Do you want to stay in the car? Because I don't think I'd want to if it were me.
It would be kind of boring, but, Carol probably, on one hand, would want to do it, but on the other hand, that's boring.
Yeah, well, the argument for Leslie is a whole lot less suitable. The argument for Carol is the fewer people in Blanchard's position who know about Carol, the better it is for Carol.
Well, you don't have to
Yeah.
introduce her.
I can help. With
Well,
that.
no, that just her very existence.
I can help with that.
Yeah, make me look different.
Yeah, I'll set her up with a disguise.
You can totally
There
do
you
that.
go. All right,
That'll work if we want to go in 4 deep.
I'll use deception and thaumaturgy to set up a glamour, and so she doesn't look like she's supposed to look. Dress different
And-
like that.
That'll be one toward your list of active things.
Okay.
Not to mention, I have outs I can take if somebody needs to go get help.
Okay.
Well, Leslie can shapeshift, so you
Shapeshift.
can
Yeah,
look
exactly.
like anybody.
And not to mention, I can shapeshift and get myself out of there if I have to. go get help.
you can leave, like Fort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie can
No,
walk in looking like this guy.
Yeah.
If she wanted.
Yeah, no, I just
Why?
I just don't want to compromise Carol's entire career over this.
That would be appreciated.
Well, let's put a glamour on her. I'll come in looking like somebody else, and if we need somebody to go get help, I'll just change into a small animal and vamoose.
Okay, you 3 can be my 3 bodyguards.
All right. So, suitably attired and disguised, you head out for La Madeleine. Although not the main entrance, the side entrance, which is the business entrance.
Go to the La Madeleine again. We're just going to end up with more pastries and scare the crap out of the owner.
Please take the pastries. So, There is a guy at the door.
Okay.
Just one. And he's trying to be inconspicuous.
I guess that's the
Okay. I walk up to him. Ah, good man, good work there. And I go for the doorknob.
Make a manipulation versus his
Lovely.
presence. Oh, double 4. Yes.
Okay. Manipulation is presence.
Total of 11. Eat it. 11.
Okay, do I get any bonus for being famous?
In this particular instance, that would not be a bonus. That would be a penalty. So, no.
Oh, okay.
Being famous is not always better.
Okay, 6 and a 2, so a total of 14.
That's still more than 11. So, you stroll up with your entourage and reach for the doorknob. Good man, good man. And he's like, oh, okay. He steps back. And you walk in. And you're... Man, all right. There's like a...
I like you along there.
Everybody just walks by this portion. You know he's gonna get fired, right? You've ruined his career.
Well, let's face it, he was a crappy doorman anyway. The 4 of us just walked in.
Well, I can't dispute that. All right.
Perhaps
You
should
walk
get-
in and there's like a small enclosed room with like a plant and a few chairs and a table with some magazines and newspaper, and then there's like a doorway from that. It's not a door, it's just a door, it's an opening doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And then past that is a larger open area with a desk and a young woman sitting behind it. And I'm assuming you keep walking until somebody stops you. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least up to a young woman behind the desk.
Or
Well,
until
when
out the other
you
side.
and your entourage walk in, she definitely notices you, and she's like, "Oh, bonjour, bonjour. Good morning. Do you have an appointment?"
Oh, I'm afraid we were unable to make an appointment, but it is a rather critical. I just lost the word.
matter. That's simple. word.
Yeah, it is a rather critical matter.
Oh, well, may I ask who you were here to see?
Miss Blanchard.
Miss Blanchard is very busy, and if you don't have an appointment, I don't think you'll be able to see her. But I would check. All right. Please have a
Yes.
seat. Help yourself to the coffee. There's actually like a little coffee urn there with like
Thank
tiny
you,
little
and-
cups. And a platter of delicious pastries.
Yeah.
So
Anything else would be less appropriate.
she puts on like an enormous like World War II radio operator style headset.
I before she gets the headset on,
Yeah.
I thank her. It is so nice to have people recognize me.
She smiles vacantly in your direction because she has no idea who you are.
She didn't ask who I was, and that's the
No,
most
she
important thing.
And she pushes some buttons on a great big machine, like yay big with buttons on it, rows of buttons. And she goes, oui, I have a gentleman. Oh, I'm sorry. Monsieur, Monsieur, what is your name?
Diamond.
I have a Monsieur Diamant for Miss Blanchard. Oui, I shall tell him so. And she takes off her enormous radio headset and pushes a button on the thing. She says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Diamant. Miss Blanchard, she is just too busy today. Perhaps another day. Would you like to make an appointment?"
Oh,
That might be a.
I'm not sure if that would do much good. I was hoping to to meet with her before my next visit to the Digons.
Oh, well, she flips like an appointment book open. She's flipping through it. Says, "I have something on the 6th of next month. Would this work for you?"
I'm afraid this evening shall be too late.
No. The 6th of next month. Oh, I see what you mean. You mean it is so urgent that even to wait until this evening would be too late. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this, but she's simply swamped. What can I? There's nothing I can do.
I'll walk over to where Johnny is and whisper in his ear, "You're going to have to drop a couple of names."
At about that time, this guy comes from the hallway to one side, and he looks over at you guys with, it's not exactly a bored expression. No, it is. It's a bored expression. He looks at you like, not again, je t'adore. And he like looks at all of you, and he says,
He looks familiar. Have I met him before?
Yeah, we all have. He's from the last adventure.
it's been like a year.
Yeah.
He's like, I think maybe it is time for you to go. And girl behind the desk is like, what?
Yes, I just hope it's not too late. I would hate to see you need to leave town, my friend. After all, our last meeting went so well for both of us.
He looks a little puzzled at you. Make a diplomacy for reading the room, kind of a thing.
Okay.
Actually, anybody who wants to can.
15 total.
Damn.
I'm not going to
All
take
right.
50.
Yeah.
Let's see. Diplomacy. Oh, I totally have diplomacy.
Anybody who does more than 9 will pick this up.
Exactly.
9 is all you need.
No,
No, but I mean, are we reading? It's 2 dice plus your as your
Presence.
diplomacy.
That's your reason.
Oh, is diplomacy? No, diplomacy is presence.
Diplomacy is.
There's presence on my sheet.
I have diplomacy as reason.
You got the
I've got
wrong
diplomacy
character
as
sheet where I messed up. It's supposed to be presence.
Oh, then I only roll a 8, not a 9.
I did 16.
Well, it doesn't matter for me. I have both the same number.
Yeah, same here.
And what'd you get?
17, 19.
Good God.
I have expertise in
Okay.
diplomacy.
Anybody who gets a 9 knows that although he seems to vaguely recognize Johnny Diamond, he doesn't quite know where from.
Which is
I mean,
probably
it's
for the
there's
best.
that, and anybody who rolls astronomically high, like Karen did,
Like everyone.
not everyone.
You're right. I only got a 15.
Anybody who rolled, well, actually 15.
Right, so not
Anybody who
mine.
rolls 15 or higher knows he does not necessarily recognize any of you, really. Although he thinks Johnny Diamond, he kind of has that, like, have we met kind of expression toward Johnny Diamond. Basically, he's just here to keep people from bothering his boss.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Celadon, I don't know what you know. Just some guys in your way.
Ooh, coffee.
Hey, coffee and donuts.
Yeah, they did say pastry. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going.
He
to go
is
up.
pretty imposing. He's not overtly threatening, but he kind of gives off that vibe that getting past him is not trivial. It's almost like that's his job.
Right. Okay. I'm going to lean in close to him.
He leans back. Oh,
And I'll lean in close to him and speak rather quietly. It was the Bonaire affair, wasn't it?
Bonaire. Rolled a 3. Bonaire. Bonaire. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh. Well, I'm sure they won't mind your lapse of memory. You did make quite an impression on them, though. All of that aside, though, before either Petronovich or Dagan gets on my case,
Let's see. What do I have? There's that name, and there's this name.
I really do have a bit of business before those two discover what's been going on.
He just shakes his head and leans back and says, No. I think it'd be better for everyone if you just left. We don't want a problem here, do we?
I'm certain it would be better for me. For you, not so much. But that is your choice.
I shall somehow live with the consequences, sir.
Oh, I doubt that. Much to my regret, of course.
Do I remember this guy's name?
Make a... What would it be? Just make a reason roll. Tell me what you get.
10.
That is exactly what you needed. His name is Yves Dupont. He is a pied noir. Well, let's call him a thug. He's not exactly bottom level. He's the guy who he's been promoted to his niche. He does not want to be promoted higher. He does not want to have more authority. He likes the authority he has. He gets told what to do. He's good at it. And then he tells other underlings who are basically bottom level thugs what to do. So that's his role in life. He is comfortable. He's settled in. Yves Dupont. And okay. I'm actually drawing a blank exactly how you ran across him last year. I think when everybody's looking for the
Bonaire thing, was it the Bonaire thing or was it the rabbit with the cigarette thing?
Oh yeah, that one.
No, he was with the MacGuffin. He was one of the ones trying to chase down the mysterious bag full of stuff.
Yeah, the courier bag. I think that he was the person sent to convey to you the importance of finding the courier bag. I think. Okay. And I think he wound up threatening somebody, probably Johnny Diamond, saying that you need to find it, and when you do, you need to turn it over to us, nobody else. Or terrible, terrible things will happen to you. As it turned out, terrible things happened to lots of people, but not you.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Well, and a whole bunch of, what was it, Parain? No, it was Maghreby. The Count.
Yes. Right.
A whole bunch of Maghreby gangsters wound up getting wiped out. So whenever that kind of thing happens, the other factions of the milieu, they just kind of like, whoa. No, we were not involved. No, we are clean. We are legitimate businessmen.
Yeah, right.
I always have to pause a little bit when they say that.
Yeah, there's always that ironic pause between legitimate and businessmen.
Yeah. So I think that's how you guys ran across him before.
Businessman. Yep. Oh, okay.
But for him, that was Wednesday. So.
All right. Well, I'll step up to him and kind of, again, keep the voice lowered, but say basically, Mr. DuPont, here's the deal. My boss, Mr. Diamond, needs to talk to your boss, Miss whatever the hell her name is.
Blanchard.
It's concerning the fate of Helene Dagan. You might want to drop that name to your boss and see if it gets a reaction. If it doesn't, we'll go on our way. If it does, then she probably will want to talk to Mr. Diamond.
Make a manipulation roll versus his.
I don't have manipulation. I have diplomacy or deception.
It would. We can do diplomacy, sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a pretty diplomatic way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think diplomacy would work here. Sure, do that. Presence.
I
plus
have a
2d6.
I have a non-diplomatic way of using my deception and manipulation if needed.
I rolled a 14, Brendan.
As it happens, he rolled really, really badly. But he did recognize the name Helene Dugan. And so he looks at you. He because he rolled so badly, you can tell. I feel bad for him because normally he's more professional than this.
Right.
But there's like a flicker in his eyes when you say that name, and but he covers it up almost immediately, and he's like, "I'll tell you what I'll do. Have a seat. I'll take it back and see what happens. Okay? But if I come back and the answer is no, you leave. Agreed?
That sounds
Agreed.
perfectly reasonable.
Okay. Have a
Agreed.
seat. Enjoy the coffee. It's
And-
Ethiopian. Quite good.
I do hope that we can have a conversation, unlike the unpleasantness with the Count.
I remember you, Johnny Diamond, restaurateur.
Yes.
He chuckles to himself and turns around and walks away down the hallway. All right, what do you do? He's walked down the hallway. You run up behind him, or
No, wait for
Ladies
his
and gentlemen,
We're doing this legally, remember? I'm going to
we're-
enjoy the coffee.
we are on their side. We want to keep this from being a replay of what happened with the Count.
it is
Yeah.
actually excellent. Anybody who tries it, it is actually
It's good.
excellent coffee.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
Okay.
check for magic.
on the coffee. No, none.
In the room.
Oh,
Magic bean.
make a perception plus power plus thaumaturgy. Wait, what? Hang on, I gotta look for it. I wrote it down. I don't remember everything. Okay. Oh, a perception parentheses power roll, which means it's a perception skill. If you have expertise with it, you get a bonus die, and you
Okay.
add your power to the roll.
Okay. 13.
And I got a 12. So, yeah, you look in there's nothing magical in here at all. Oh, actually, no. The girl behind the desk, she's got a charm of some kind on
I
it.
probably radiate all kinds of
Well,
magic.
I'm excluding the things he already knows about.
Yeah.
Other than the things you already know about. The receptionist has a charm or something, probably on a chain around her neck under her shirt, because it's coming from like right here in her chest.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I'll like glance around the room, look over at the secretary, walk over
13
to
doesn't
Leslie.
13 doesn't
Like-
tell you what it is, but tells you it's like right here, and it's not particularly powerful. It's like +1, +2, something like that.
Right. Look around the room, look at the secretary, walk over to Leslie, move Leslie aside, look behind Leslie, move Leslie back.
A surprisingly short time later. No, I mean like less than 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes maybe. Like literally, it's just enough time for Doc Celadon to do his little tour of the room. Doc Celadon's like nodding to himself, going, "Yeah, okay, I think we're good." And then Yves Dupont comes back in, and he like snaps his finger, points at Johnny Diamond, and says, "Follow me, please, sir." and walks down the hall.
I refill my coffee cup before following.
Yeah, they are tiny. They're like this big.
Okay,
We,
in that case, I walk along.
Are we allowed to follow him, or is it clear that we're supposed to wait here?
Nope, you follow him until you are told not to.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
First rule of being a thug.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have at least 2 cups of coffee with me when I follow him. 2 of those little cups of coffee with me.
Alrighty. Okay.
He shows me to her office. Yes.
Hang on. I'm preparing a couple
No,
of.
just do it
Okay,
that way. There you go.
I've got slides to show you. Okay.
It's a PowerPoint presentation.
It actually takes you down a hall past several offices that have a couple of people working in them. They look like bookkeepers or accountants or something. They're going through books. You you pass through them. Somebody's like flipping through what look like enormous notebooks that are filled with graph paper that have like columns of numbers in them, and they're copying from one book to another identical book, like the numbers. It's that kind of thing. And
Welcome to the days before personal computers.
This is what a spreadsheet was back then. So,
as a digression, there was somebody at work complaining about computers, an older woman complaining about computers the other day. And I couldn't help myself. I was like, I have 2 words for you: carbon paper. Think about it.
When I worked for the Coast Guard, I worked with a lady. The Coast Guard Naval Engineering Division used to be on a place called Governor's Island in New York. Mm-hmm. Well, they made Governor's Island into some kind of nature sanctuary or historical thing. So they kicked the Coast Guard off of it. And they all came to Norfolk, Virginia. You would think there'd be something closer?
No, because Mystic's all taken up with their training facilities.
So everybody from Governor's Island, New York, was given the opportunity to keep their job if they went to Norfolk, Virginia. So lots of them did. And there's a lady I worked with who was from there, and literally everything, every day, all day, was better in New York. But other than that, she was an older lady, older than me. And we were talking about how we got into IT, like computer stuff, because I mentioned I originally was an electrician, and she was originally something else. And then she learned how to do punch cards. So she was like a secretary or something for the Coast Guard, like a million years ago. And then she learned how to do punch cards, and she got a job doing punch cards. And she's like, I'm set. This is her talking now. She's like, I had it made, because these things are never going away. Punch cards.
Yeah.
Because it was like this secret code to know how to do a punch card.
Anyway. Oh yeah.
It's like being a what do you call it? The people who take notes in courtrophomes.
Stenographer.
Yeah, it's
that weird little keyboard thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, creepy.
They have their own little like guild, basically.
Like
it's
scriveners.
The keyboard thing is actually really interesting because each of those keys is a portion of a shorthand notation. They are actually typing in shorthand. Like if you learn to take shorthand dictation by pencil, you could read what comes off of those machines.
Yep.
Because
shorthand's like a code.
It's a shorthand typewriter is what they're using.
That is crazy. I wonder what that was, because it's clearly not enough letters.
No, it's all shorthand.
Yeah, shorthand is not enough letters. It's specific.
So you get you follow him. He goes down a hallway, and then not at the end of the hallway, but like halfway down, there's a stairway going up, and he takes you up the stairs and then down another hallway, and to an office. And it's a good-sized office, but it's not like luxurious. I mean, it's not like Cucabolo desk and mahogany walls. It's not like that. It is a nice but functional office. Like the person who works here. This is not a status symbol. This office is not a status symbol. It's not here to impress anyone. It's basically meant to provide the person who works here a comfortable working environment that they like. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty clear.
Like Johnny Diamond's office. It's filing cabinets and telephones and stuff.
Probably so. Actually,
getting...
Johnny Diamond probably because you have the money to do whatever you want with your office, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is, it's really only there to please you. So when you walk in, you get that kind of vibe. You immediately get that kind of like. It may not be your particular kind of office, but you recognize that the person who works here is like you in that way. Anyway, and behind the desk, you see this person.
Does he gesture me in or lead me in?
He goes to the door. He opens the door, and he stands there in the hallway.
Okay. I turn back at my 3 compatriots. I think I shall be safe enough in there alone.
Okay.
And step in the door to be...
I'll take up a position next to the door. The opposite side of wherever Eve is.
Because I intend to say some things that shouldn't be said in front of other people if this woman ever wants to save face, so...
Yeah.
I don't want it said in front of other people.
At the risk of sounding very old school D&D,
Yeah.
what's
Are
your
you
marching
sure you
order?
want to split the party?
No, what's your marching order? Johnny's in front, then it's 3 more people. Who's 1, 2, 3? Tell me.
Well, I'm the only dame in the group, so unless he made me look like a guy, so I guess I'm looking like arm candy, so I would be with him.
Oh, so you'd be 2? Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
I'll take up the
And
rear. Leslie can have number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
In which case, everybody make a perception roll, which is reason. And if you've got expertise with perception, add a bonus die. And I will tell you what you need to roll against.
Okay, I only got a 12.
Okay, wait. Johnny Diamond gets it automatically. So
okay.
number 2, which is Kieran, needs to
16.
go versus 8. Did you get higher than 8?
16.
Okay. Carol saw it. The next person needs to go 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, so
Now, what skill is it based on?
perception.
I don't have perception? But I mean,
Yeah.
of the attributes. Is there an attribute?
Reason.
Oh, if I have reason, then I just made it on the dot.
Okay. So, wait. So, for number 2, Doxeladon, it would be 11.
No, Leslie was was actually
Oh,
number.
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Well, then Leslie, number 2 is 11. Did you get 11?
Yep.
Okay.
If I add my reason.
It's reason. It's 2d6 plus reason, or 3d6 if you have expertise in perception.
It's 2d6, and actually I got a 12.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
And then whoever's in the back, which is Doxeladon, it would be 14.
Roll a 13.
Doxeladon does not see her, which kind of sucks, because I kind of planned this whole thing so Doxeladon would see her. Yeah, it is what it is, man. All right.
That's okay then. I'm standing outside, but I'm not going to stand there not doing anything. So.
All right. In which case, all right, I'll go ahead and show you. Hang on.
Well, Brandon, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Tell me what you're going to do.
While I'm standing outside facing the doorway, I'm going to pull out my pocket watch, pop it open, and then cast a spell so that I can see through through the door.
Okay. Make a thaumaturgy roll.
All right.
Is that her? Is that Blanchard?
Hang on. I've screwed up my picture, my screen.
Oh.
13.
Hang on, I gotta tell you what you're rolling against. And I did it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, yes, 13 did it. Okay, so everybody else sees her first because it takes Doxeladon a minute to do his thing. Oh, wait, are you doing this surreptitiously? Because that makes it harder.
Yes, I am. Well, like I said, I'm looking at my pocket watch.
Okay. Well, as it happens, Eve is focused entirely on Johnny Diamond, so it doesn't matter if you are or not. All right. Johnny Diamond, Carol, Leslie all see this woman behind the desk. Johnny Diamond, make another perception roll versus reason. This one is more difficult because you're remembering something.
Ooh, only a 10.
Okay. She looks vaguely familiar, but you don't know from where, because you actually needed an 11. And can I tell you how refreshing it is to have you fail a roll?
No.
It almost never happens.
She almost looks like Marguerite with a different hairstyle.
Oh, it's not. It's completely different. But
Okay.
no, that is not it. I'll tell you right off the bat. That's not it.
Okay.
Anyway, she looks vaguely familiar, but you don't know from where. But immediately, so she looks up at you, and she puts down a fountain pen, and she says, "Mr. Diamond, have a seat if you like."
Thank you. I very casually have a seat.
Outside in the hallway, Doc Celadon,
Yep.
make a... Excuse me. What would this be?
I don't know.
I
This
think
isn't
just a
Simone,
straight up...
is it?
What?
I'm thinking back to all of the really competent blondes. This isn't Simone, is it?
No, it's not. No.
Okay.
And Simone's brunette, so...
Oh, okay.
And last...
I
well,
thought she
any of
was
you
kind of
heard,
like-
Simone was working with Yuri Nikulin again, so...
Okay. She was
oh.
terribly competent. I would expect her
Yeah,
to
but
be
she was a
high-ranking
competent magician student. She was not a gangster. Well, it doesn't mean she couldn't be both. Why not
Yeah.
both? Okay, meanwhile, out in the hallway, Doc Celadon,
Yes.
flat out presence roll. 2d6 plus your presence.
12.
You needed a 13, so you fail.
Oh.
So how you fail is up to you. Totally, I'll leave it up to you how you fail, but you fail. You know who this is. You've met her many, many times, like once every couple of weeks for the past year. She's one of the people who comes to you on Friday, or sometimes during the week, for youth potions. You thought she was a prostitute. And the name you know her by is Bianca. And also, since we're doing this, hang on. You know that when Bianca is not in the effects of a youth potion, she looks like this.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been around a few times.
But you failed something. What did exactly?
Oh,
did
oh,
He lost his cool.
that roll was to keep you cool.
At which point I'll do something like fairly obvious, like snap the watch shut and go, "Oh my God, I don't believe that."
That works. So
I
anyway,
like look over at whoever's next to me. And
Eve
like,
actually. Wait, did the other two? Did you guys go in, or are you still in the hallway?
No, we're still in the hall. We were told to stay in the hall.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're just in a clump there now. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give him a funny look.
Yeah, really. Like, what are you on about?
should I keep going, Brandon, or was that
Yeah.
especially for me to screw up?
no, go ahead.
She's seen better days.
Okay.
Okay, so
Um,
Giant Diamond. She gestures. She says, "Sit down if you like."
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Would you like
I
some
settle
coffee?
in very
It's
comfortably.
Ethiopian, quite good.
It's fantastic.
Oh, I see you
We-
have 2 cups of it now. Would you like a larger cup?
Perhaps when we are done here today, we can work out an arrangement for more of these beans to find their way to my cafe.
I
It is
also have a
truly
source in
twisted.
Guatemala, which is quite good, but personally I prefer the Ethiopian.
Well then, I hope this talk goes as smoothly as possible that we can do business in the future.
Wonderful. So, Helene Dugan.
Yes. Her sister has been making indiscreet inquiries.
And this is... I should care about this. Why?
Because of what happened to Helene and the fact that the inquiries are now pointing to you.
That seems extremely unlikely.
That's what I would have thought, and yet people do talk.
Which people?
Well, I'm not sure they're people anymore.
They could be mulch.
Yes. Lermite could not keep his tongue in his head.
Should that name mean something to me?
Your name meant something to him.
Yeah, what was that guy's name? Terry
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 Lemmy.
Lemite.
Lynette. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Terry Lemite, yeah. Your name meant something to him. Luckily, I was able to intercept that information before it got into any official records. And Lemite shouldn't be anybody's problem anymore. Although
I
you
don't
will...
know Monsieur
Although-
Lemite, but I'll accept your word for that.
Oh, well then. In that case, you might want to find out who he was working for. Because he was
Why
telling
would I
people...
care about this?
Because he was telling people that it was you, and I would hate for you to get blamed for something you didn't do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Diamond. What was this about? I thought you were here to discuss pastry deliveries to your restaurant. As I understand it, you had a problem with your bill.
Yes, the problem included a nightmare stone.
Oh, make a diplomacy roll. Presence diplomacy.
18.
Even if I roll a 12, you get it. She literally has no idea what you're talking about. As far as the nightmare stunt, when you say, like, up to that, she's cagey. It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious she's being cagey, right? But when you say nightmare stone, it is clear to you she has no clue what you mean by that.
Then she
Mr.
may be
Diamond.
innocent, too.
If this isn't about your bill, then why are you here?
Apparently, to save you a great deal of trouble.
Well, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I have no idea what trouble you're talking about.
Why'd she...
A man used an artifact to strip Helene of her sanity.
What?
When...
Wait a minute.
Have you not met
Are you
Helene
saying
recently?
Thierry Lhermitte used some kind of artifact to strip Helene Dugan of her sanity?
Have you met Helene in the past month?
I've never met Helene Dugan. No, that's not true. We met once. But I don't see how this concerns you.
Oh, everything in Camere Sumer concerns me.
I
This is
sincerely
my
hope not.
This is my home. Its people have become my people, and I protect my people.
And you're here to protect Helene Dugan?
Either the Dugans or you, depending on which way this conversation goes. I entered to protect the Dugans. I'm afraid I might end up having to protect you.
Thank you?
All right, I'll lay it on the table. May we speak completely frankly here?
You may.
It seems that what is it? Is it the it's not the Maghrabi. What's the
Maghrabi. There's the Parain, the Pied Noir, the Maghrabi, and then there's the Gatan, but they're kind of like
Parain.
nobody takes
Parain
them
is the Parain
They're-
are the ones who run the casino where the guy was buying the Pinot Noir.
Yeah. Parain are like
booze.
the Godfather Mafia. They're like,
Okay.
you know, in a if everybody's in a pie chart, they're like 50% of the pie.
Okay. Your name has come up as the person in charge of quite a little list of activities that you don't seem to know about.
I delegate. as much as I'm enjoying our conversation, please get to the point.
A Perrine establishment has been buying contraband alcohol through a Pinot Noir operative.
Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is a boy.
Sorry. Pinot Noir.
Actually, Pinot Noir means Blackfoot. And I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, but I kind of think it might be racist.
Just a little bit in Algeria, just a little bit maybe.
Just a little bit, yeah. Although they're like kind of Arabian on the northern coast, so
yeah.
But racists are weird. All right, so but anyway, you say something about the black market alcohol, piano. Okay,
yeah.
Make a diplomacy roll, just to see. You're basically seeing what her reaction is.
13.
So 2d6 plus her presence. Oh, Jesus. Double ones. Okay. So she recognizes what you're saying. What you're saying, like, triggers something. This is not the first time she's heard that. Her reaction is not fear or something. It's not negative in that way. It's more like jealousy, if that makes any sense. It's like, crap, you know something that she thought only she knew.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. It's not in any way like fearful or apprehensive. It's more annoyed at you for the fact that you know it.
Okay.
But faces the mask still.
Yeah.
So she's like, you're talking in circles, Mr. Diamond.
And then we
please get to the point.
On to the fact that the person who was delivering this alcohol made a great number of very wealthy enemies when he stole Helene's sanity.
You mentioned that before. What on earth would make you think? Let's say hypothetically that I had any idea who you're talking about with this alcohol smuggling person. It doesn't even make sense. Why would some alcohol smuggler have anything to do with Helene Dugan or the loss of her sanity? The last I heard, she was simply found on the side of the road after having been abducted by who knows who.
When he was tortured, he came up with your name as the person responsible.
Well, people say anything under torture.
So perhaps you should check your friends for enemies. I'm afraid someone might have set you up.
Well, having a successful catering business, as I do, there is a certain amount of cutthroat activity, but I don't think it stoops to the level of this milieu kind of nonsense that you're talking about.
I'm sorry. I thought we were speaking frankly here. If you wish to go the way of the Count, then so be it.
Completely impassive at that. She doesn't like blink an eye at that. It's like, I can't help you if I don't know what you're talking about. So, as far as your bill, you are or you are not satisfied with that? As I understand, we gave you some pastries on the house. Would you like more? Tell you what, how about next week's bill? It's on us.
Simply send some of this Ethiopian coffee.
I'd be happy to. I
am terribly sorry for taking up your time. And I hope that we both live to meet again.
You know, I'd heard you were funny. And at that moment, you realize where you remember her from. Actually, it's from the coffee comment. Because very few people who come into the Cafe Azure American are actually as big fans of coffee like you are. Mm-hmm. There was a young woman who came in and who actually tried, because I'm thinking you being you probably have like a half a dozen different kinds of coffee.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay,
the whole
and she would actually like order once she found out you had more than one kind. She'd order all of them and like sip them and taste them. And you've never seen her since. She came in one time, was enthusiastic about what you served, and then never came back. And that was, you're almost certain, was this woman.
That look on your face. The cafe sampler.
That's right. You're the gentleman who runs that American-themed restaurant.
Yes.
Nightclub. I seem to recall visiting there once. I thought the decor was a bit gauche.
Oh,
But I do recall you had good coffee.
You should see what the Americans actually decorate their cafe with.
The skulls of red savages, as I understand.
Only in certain areas.
As much fun as this has been, I'm afraid I do have pressing business to attend to. So if you have any problems at all, please, Eve, outside, he'll be happy to take care of them, and I will make sure that he knows that your satisfaction is our uppermost priority.
Thank you. I hope that our conversation hasn't been too long to keep you from your business, and I do hope that some good can come of it.
I don't know about that, but thank you for your time.
Wow, she's good. She's either good or she's being an incredible fall guy.
So you go back out in the hallway?
Yes.
Everybody else heard all of that, and what's your deal now? Oh, as you step out in the hallway, Eve closes the door. He reaches in, he closes the door, clunk, and just stands there and kind of waits for you to leave. He doesn't like make any like go gestures, but his posture is such that it conveys he's waiting for you to go.
Okay, I finish off the little cup of coffee and thank him for his time. Hand him the little cup of coffee.
He takes them. He's literally just holding them now.
Let's go.
And we head out.
That did not go at all how I expected, if you care.
Yeah, it didn't go at all how I expected either.
Well, now what?
We get back to the car and I go, well, she's good.
Do you
Is
think
she good, or is she just in the dark?
She's much too sharp to be in the dark. No, she's just very, very good at this.
Mhm.
But it still doesn't answer the question as to why would she be interested in some rich man's, well, formerly rich man's daughter, enough to want to hurt her. That makes no sense.
That is the interesting thing.
Mhm.
Unless Helene was the tool rather than the target. Does anyone here have a good friend in the parade?
I think I might. Brandon. She's been using my spells, right?
You've spoken to her at least once, often, twice a week, for at least a year. She's clearly at this moment under the effect of one of your youth potions.
Okay, so what is it called? Law of similarity?
Sure.
Okay. Using my own spell as a gateway. See if I can pull the same trick on her that I pulled on the.
Oh, sympathetic magic.
Yeah,
there's contagion and there's similarity. For you, it would probably be contagion for what you're talking
Okay.
about.
Then yeah, using that, step into her mind, see what I can find out what she is really thinking about.
Okay, you are within 30. Wait, let me see this again. Okay, put upstairs. That's like 30 feet. I'm gonna say. Oh, well, she's gonna want a window. So yeah. So she won't be sitting next to the window because she's not stupid. But she does like to have a window. So yeah, you're within 10 meters, so no penalty there. You've got the sympathetic magic going on, so you get a bonus die. And you want to scan her brain. So
Yep.
thaumaturgy, presence, plus power. And I will roll for her presence plus defensive equipment, which is probably not insignificant. So here we go. Ooh, decent roll. Not fantastic, but decent.
24.
Jesus Christ! I thought I rolled well. Okay. As you make contact, I'll give you a choice. You did roll really, really well.
Okay.
She rolled really, really well.
Okay.
She's going to know you were there. You can either back off and she won't. We'll just call it even. She doesn't know you were there. You don't get anything. Or you can get things, but she will know that you were there, or at least that someone was there. Not necessarily you, but she'll know someone was there. And given that Johnny Diamond just left, she's going to at least think that he's involved. So it's your choice.
Who could I sell out?
Make it look like somebody else is doing it.
Exactly. I'm thinking I'm going to try and leave a false trail so that she'll think it's somebody other than me.
The rabbit.
I like Nikolai. I'm not gonna rat him.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's going to be a hard sell, man, because Johnny Diamond just left. I mean,
That's right. I'm not gonna. Unfortunately, no matter who I rat out, she's gonna draw the line right back to him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll bag it then. I'll back out
wow. I
and-
was not expecting that.
and close the door. Like I said, I don't care about me, but I don't want to throw my friends under the bus because they've got lives to shit. So I'm just gonna try it
Wow.
again. I'm gonna try it again later. That's all.
Okay. All right.
Now that I know I've got that gateway to her, then I can set up a way to exploit that, and that is my intention.
Okay. So do you guys do anything potentially life-threatening in the next few days?
Me.
Well, probably. My other plan was to get in touch with someone farther up the Pirene and tell them about their casino buying booze from the wrong family.
That's something you want to do?
And see if they're interested in any information about this.
Yeah, but how's that going to help us decide what we're going to tell Marguerite?
Because if I can start a skirmish between Blanchard and another family, then Marguerite won't be on Blanchard's hit list because she'll have bigger problems. And then I can tell her who did it. And basically, if I can get somebody else to knock off Blanchard, I can drop Blanchard's name to Marguerite and be clear of this.
Well,
That
if it
makes-
matters, you do know that this fella, Henri Galat is his name. Henri Galat. He is Michel Galabru's boss. Henri
Okay.
Galat is a local milieu boss. There's like 3 or 4 people at his level. and
Okay.
there's really nobody above him in Cameray-sur-Mer. Like, his boss is in Paris. So,
Okay, I will go ahead and ask his office for a very an urgent appointment.
yeah, it's like a week from now.
Well, that might give the good doctor a chance to read Blanchard's mind.
Well, okay. Well, if it's a week from now, maybe I should just send word up through the grapevine that Johnny Diamond knows something about a Perrine business owner making deals with the Pays Noir.
Okay.
To just see if it gets gets a little attention.
Okay,
Not,
meanwhile...
not through what's his name, Bannon.
Michel Galabru?
Yeah, not through Galabru's chain of command.
Okay.
I want to go around him to his boss and just mention that I've got some information about his underlings that he might be interested in.
Okay. We'll put that in the hopper, and you stand by and you wait for a response to see if anybody nibbles.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, okay, I don't make sure I'm not ignoring anybody. Carol, is there something you want to do in this meantime? Because you've been kind of quiet.
What was it earlier? Oh no, was there anything that I could work on? Like, I forget. Was there anything if Dr. Celadon said earlier that I would need to look up? I mean, I had already found out where she was earlier, so I think
Yeah,
that
you
was
did
the
all
only
that.
thing.
I personally don't have something for you, which I feel like I'm a bad GM for not having something. But
I'm having fun. Don't worry about it.
you doing all right? I don't want you to be bored.
I'm being entertained by Lloyd and Donald just fine.
Okay. If you think of something and you want to interject,
I
just
will.
make noise. I will stop. I'll shut down Donald and Lloyd, and we will listen to you. Leslie, same deal. Is there
Hey.
something you think that Leslie, spelled differently, has something to look up or go into or figure out in the couple of days it will take between the time that either Johnny Diamond hears back from his Milieu contacts or Doc Celadon follows up on his plan to mentally invade somebody?
I've got a question. There is something I might be able to look
What is
into.
that?
Since it was a fairy item that was used,
Mhm.
is there a way I can trace what it's done, where it's been, and maybe find something out that way? I mean, I've handled it.
Well, actually, it's been, at this point, at least a week, maybe a week and a half, since you turned it over to the, proper authorities, fairy-wise.
Yeah.
You actually get invited back to, like, a formal ceremony, and this happens very rarely.
Mhm.
Like, the whole thing with Augustin Belasco, the guy who wanted to pull the Summer King's throne
Yeah.
from the Shadowlands or from the Bright Realm, as fairies call it. Humans call it the Shadowlands, or among other things, but fairies call it the Bright Realm. You have the Bright Realm and the Grim World, which is the mortal world, which is all like, lead and dirt. So, that was the last time you remember seeing, like, the Summer King and the Winter Queen at the same place at the same time. You were invited to a special ceremony wherein the Winter Court formally thanks you, a Skyan of the Summer Court, for returning a broken piece of an ancient piece of fairy whatever.
Okay.
And
Whatever.
the thing it's a piece
Borg
of
cube.
actually has nothing to do with like nightmares or mind wiping or any of that. It's
It's broken, so it's going to do the wrong thing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't really know what it actually did because whatever it was doing was just wrong. It was just a piece of what it's supposed to be. The thing it actually was is like it's not the throne
Okay.
that the Winter Queen uses now. It's like the previous throne that they used like 1,000 years ago. Okay, it got replaced by a new throne because you do like something new every once in a while. But the old throne still had like significant value. I mean, it was like a cultural thing, and somebody broke a piece off of it years ago, like 800 years ago, and then so they are grateful that you returned it, even though they don't actually use it. That's not the point.
Okay.
So, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, and yeah, the Winter Queen gives you like a little wreath of holly leaves or something, and
Now,
you are
does
formally
she-
thanked.
Does she end up owing me a favor? Because this might get
Are
me
you
the
kidding?
answer to
No, no,
I don't think so. Okay, I was just
No.
going to ask. But,
no. You are formally thanked. That is
Okay.
the beginning and the end of it.
okay. But but at this point, through being maybe close to the, is it anywhere you can see it at this point, the full thing?
Oh yeah, because that's like part of the ceremony, right? It's like
Okay,
ba
yep.
ba 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 ba,
He's
and
back.
it's basically just really ornate Celtic carved thrones carved out of stone.
And it was a piece of the, okay.
It was like part of the armrest,
Okay. Interesting.
which has since been restored. Yay!
Now, if I can get a feel for the thing complete, maybe get a feel for something, maybe I can go back to the Grim world and see if I can figure out exactly what happened. Is there a way I could do that? Maybe follow a magical trail.
You have thaumaturgy, right?
Yes.
Well, let's make a thaumaturgy plus presence. No, not power. Thaumaturgy plus power roll. Oh Jesus, I rolled horribly. Okay. Well,
So I'm rolling 3 dice or 2 dice?
you do. Is there? There's not a star next to thaumaturgy, right?
Well, it's on my skill list, which I think I only have what I have as, but I don't know what's considered.
The things you have expertise in have stars next to them.
Well, in this case, you've put stars next to nothing. So let me go
Are you
back
sure?
to.
You have
Yeah.
what culture? Culture doesn't have a star next to it.
Nope, none of them do. None of the things on the list. Oh
let
no,
me-
here it is. It's in this one. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, I only have 2. I have culture and diplomacy. But you didn't. put it
Culture
on
is
other
the
one.
performance stuff,
Uh-huh.
and diplomacy is
No,
talking
I don't
to people.
have an.
Okay,
a star
so
next to
2d6 plus your power.
power, which is 4. Total is 10.
Well, as it happens, I rolled 6, so total. So you win. That throne was from a less gracious time for the Winter Court. So that throne was more about imposing will on people.
Okay.
Ordinarily, it's like blind obedience with a little bit of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Extrapolating from that, with your roll of 10, you think maybe just a chunk of that might have just taken a piece of that obedience fear thing and just overwhelmed somebody with fear, maybe?
Oh.
It's just a theory. Could be wrong. But that's your best guess.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose Leslie?
Dear.
Oh wait, there she is. Hello, Leslie.
Yeah, you all froze, so I guess it was me freezing on you.
Did you hear the thing about fear?
I was saying that I think I now have an idea of what whoever it is who went after Helene wanted was obedience,
Could be.
and didn't realize that the broken piece was not going to give them what they wanted.
Okay. So being
Okay,
that time in the Shadow World is different from the real world. You think you're gone for like a half hour, but you're actually gone for like 2 days,
Phase, yeah.
and you come back, and your bandmates are pissed. You've missed like 2 rehearsals, so.
Sorry about that. I've been sick. Sorry, I didn't. I was too sick to call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you okay? How you feeling? And like
Better,
it like
better.
turns around like that. They go from being angry to be sympathetic, like snap of a finger. So, Doc Celadon, a couple of days go by. You were going to do something with the brain, something. What was your deal?
It is my intention to try and basically invade the woman's brain again. And see if
She's
I can
got a really nice brain, so good luck with that. But, okay, I have rolled.
Well,
I know what you need.
If it wasn't a nice brain, it wouldn't be worth invading.
And I'm assuming you want this to be subtle. You don't want her to know, right? Is that right?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'll take extra time and use the law of similarity or law of contagion, whichever one it is.
Well, it's sympathetic magic. They both it's an either or. It's just one bonus. So you get a plus 1d6 for that.
All right.
And then where's Mitch? Excuse me. How much extra time? It basically goes. 1 round is no bonus. 1 hour is 1 bonus die. A day is 2 bonus dice, and a month is 3 bonus dice. Well, you're not taking a month. You don't have a month.
It's
So-
taking it.
A day? Oh, you take a day. So you add 2 dice, which is really freaking awesome for you, I guess. So roll your dice, roll mine. Oh, Jesus! Double 5s! Woo! Woo!
32.
Good God, man!
He concentrated a lot.
Wow.
Well, I am rolling like 5 dice.
Well,
So Brandon, that double 5s that you got, did you want to make them 6s?
Don't mock me. Don't mock me. That's not me. That's mean. Don't be cruel. So, since her presence
I
is
wasn't
not...
mocking you. I was mocking Lloyd's character.
Yeah,
Just
no,
in
I
reverse.
know. I know what you're doing. Well, since her presence is not 22, what do you want to know?
What the degree of her involvement is in what happened to the girl.
Helene Dugan?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you the short version, and then you can ask questions and pry more into her deepest secrets.
Okay.
So, short version. Helene Dugan approached one of her underlings, saying she wanted to set up Michelle Galabru for the purpose of her clearing her father's debts. What she offered was access to the accountant who works for Michelle Galabru.
Mm-hmm.
She offered that accountant's books, which she got, and she was going to offer those to... Okay, Michelle Galabru's praying.
Right.
She was offering these books to the Pied Noir so that the Pied Noir could expose Galabru as cheating his bosses so that his bosses would get rid of him, which would then get rid of her father's debts. Are you clear so far?
Yes.
This is where it goes sideways.
All right.
Blanchard, whose mind you are invading, discovered that Galabru was actually buying contraband liquor. What Americans call moonlight or something like that. So Blanchard discovered Galabru was buying contraband liquor. Blanchard figured, I don't need Helene Blanchard anymore. I can simply blackmail Galabru with this knowledge that he's buying contraband liquor. And then she started pressuring Galabru for a cut of his action. Now, Thierry Lhermitte, the guy who's making the contraband liquor, in the process of that investigation, she found out that he had what he described as an extremely strong, slightly toxic liquor that caused people to lose their memory. And she started using him to get rid of people who she didn't really want to kill, but whose memories were too dangerous. And she had done this for like a half dozen people before Helene Degan.
Okay.
Now, Helene Degan was becoming impatient with the whole setting up Galabru and getting him done with. Helene Degan confronted Jacques Verchères, who's the boss, the Pied Noir boss of Blanchard. She confronted him in public, asking what was the holdup. This had extremely violent, potentially violent repercussions to Blanchard. So, because if he knew what she was doing, he might have her killed.
Right.
So, she needed to get rid of, or at least silence, Helene Degan. Ordinarily, she would have just had her killed. But she thought, the girl isn't really part of the business. She's just trying to clear her father. So let's be kind and just have her memory wiped.
Insane.
So she had her thugs deliver her to Lermite, who would give her his concoction, which she was told simply would make her forget. Which, she'd still be alive. It's a mercy, really. Mm-hmm. So she had her people deliver Helene to Lermite. And that's really the last time she even remembers thinking of Helene Degan.
Okay.
Like, she read in a paper later that she showed up inside a road, and it's like, okay, yeah, she's fine. And that's pretty much it, as far as she's concerned. You don't see anything about a nightmare stone. You don't see anything about, like, horrifying visions. Nothing like that. As far as she's concerned, she got given a really powerful roofie. And that's pretty much it. From her point of view.
Okay, interesting. I'll realize at this point that I'm standing in the psychic equivalent of a minefield if she finds out that I know any of this, so I will quietly tiptoe out.
Well, with your
Well,
roll,
it
you
sounds like
quietly tiptoe out.
like Lemite told her he had a drug, but what he was actually using was the Nightmare Stone.
Yeah. It's when it comes right down to it, the one guy who's ultimately responsible for this was let go.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to Cafe Azure American. I'll get together with Johnny Diamond and I'll pull out a 1 franc note and hand it to him. All right, you're right. She's really, really, really dirty. But the worst thing is, it's not really her fault.
Oh?
Yeah, it's our buddy Theory is the one who's actually ultimately responsible for what happened to Helene.
Ah.
And I'll explain it to him. So you see.
Well.
Oh, and the other bit of information that I haven't been sharing with you is she's probably in her pushing 60 at this point. She comes to me like every week for a youth potion under a different name. So if you really want an insight into the Pied Noir, I pretty much own her brain.
Well, let's definitely keep that one in our pockets. But this does change the situation a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little. She's going to want to know how you knew about the bootlegging operation.
Oh, that's easy. Theory told me.
Yeah, that's. He's going to be a really convenient guy to throw under the bus for like the next couple of weeks.
Oh, just wait until the Dagon business empire gets done tracking him down.
Oh, and by the way, her ass is grass if her boss finds out that she knew about the whole bootlegging operation and didn't tell him. Because she knew about the whole bootlegging operation and didn't tell him.
Oh, hey, I've got a fun chart for you. Does this help? I don't know if this will help. But I made it, so I'm going to share. There you go. chart.
Oh, cool.
Does that
This is a
help
crime
at all?
rally here.
Goodness gracious.
Okay.
I couldn't share that with you until you knew that Blanchard admitted to hiring Lermite.
Cool.
Leslie, I can hear you chewing. Would you mind? Thank you.
Somebody chewing? What? No, don't take off your headphones. No, she can't hear us. She can chew, but she's deaf. So.
Oh, good. She can't hear us. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Isn't Leslie awful? Oh, my goodness. I'm going to get rid of Leslie.
Wait, she can
No,
hear
there
us
she
again.
is. Okay. Do you have any questions about this chart? Because I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm happy with it.
That's very cool.
What'd you use to make it, man? That's cool.
Photoshop. I started with a program called Dia, which makes like flowcharts, but that was not fancy enough. So I basically used that as like a template and then made this in Photoshop.
All right. So in the end, the people who are just that are, as far as this situation is concerned, the dirtiest are Lermite and Blanchard. Because let's see.
Yeah.
There is
Well,
no
I
doubt
agree.
she is the one who had her thugs take Helene to
Yeah.
Lermite.
Yeah.
There's no question of that. Well,
Oh, yeah, like I said,
at least in Doc Celadon's men, he knows firsthand from Blanchard's brain that she did that, and there's very, very little doubt that Lermite is the one who actually did it. So
we have to hunt him down.
you let him go.
No.
I know, but we didn't know he was bad.
No,
that
no,
bad.
no. We have to let Marguerite
Hunt him down.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, we don't have to
He's been memory wiped, hasn't he? Somebody memory wiped
the
him.
rest of his life looking over his shoulder.
No, you blank.
Memory wiped
Or
him.
Doc Celadon did blank like the last 6 hours of his memory. He doesn't remember you.
Oh, okay.
But he completely remembers Helene Dagon and this is his whole operation. Yeah.
However, we didn't wipe. His memory wasn't wiped for everything. However, a really, really strong suggestion was made that he goes do something else for a living.
That's true. Yes.
Find another job.
Yes.
Mhm.
Made all the easier by the fact his previous garage is a crater.
Smoking.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I need a new job.
Okay, so if we turn Lemite's name over to Marguerite
Thumbs
as the
up.
one responsible.
Yeah. He's a little more harmless, I think, than going after
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, she can take him
You
down with
remember
her
the one we first
resources.
encountered the guy? He was beating somebody to death.
With a crowbar.
Yeah.
So
But
hardly,
in the scheme of things, as far as the Pinoir and the other gangsters,
well, yeah,
he's probably a little more harmless.
he's low level. Yeah.
Yeah. So she
Yeah.
might survive. She might survive that.
Yeah.
Or Johnny, you can just tell her what happened.
Yeah, that's well, I'll leave out the details like the,
Entire bootlegging operation.
yeah, how I will say some unsavory action happened within the ranks of several Milu families.
And I have to thank you because the mental magic has never been anything that I've studied all that terribly much. And over the past couple of weeks, I've done nothing but. So it's given me a
Well-
good opportunity to work this out.
I will let you know that the piece of the what they call the Nightmare Stone comes from the throne of the Winter Court, and the Winter Court's throne was meant to be kind of like mind control on a very high level through fear and obedience. I
But
guess
that's the
when they chipped
old
off
Winter
the
Court.
piece,
It's the old Winter Court.
the old Winter Court. When they chipped off the piece, I think they got more of the fear than the obedience part.
Well, artifacts like that have a tendency to malfunction when you break them anyway.
Yeah. Well, they're happy, very happy to have it back.
Oh, I'm glad the winter court approves.
Yeah.
They gave you a pat on the head and shoved you upon your way, didn't they?
Yep, pretty much. It's what I expected.
She got a little crown of holly
Yeah.
leaves.
Oh yeah, she got a lovely
Hey.
decorative plaque. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's what I expected. Seriously.
All right, guys, it's 10:45. You want to?
Yes.
It is. Is this a good
Probably,
place
Yeah.
to break for the evening?
We've,
Yeah.
solved the mystery, which is good.
Well, not everything I want
Not everything,
to happen
but
happened,
We still have some wrap up left to do.
yeah.
and I think you're going to run into Bernadette Blanchard again. But
Oh, I'm
for now,
sure.
Feed her to the dragon. Feed her to the dragon.
oh my goodness, I hope not.
Rah, rah, rah.
That's always been my fallback.
Have an NPC you don't like? Feed her to a dragon.
We know you're a dragon. We won't tell anybody if you beat that person.
Okay. Before we wrap up, any like last minute questions? Any unclear things?
Ah, you're getting heavy. Oh man.
It's going to take a week to figure out what to do with all of these people to see who gets it the worst.
Okay. All right then. In which case, oh, come on. There we go. This has been Rough Magic with Donald Von Griffin, Karen Torres, Leslie Denneberger, and Kitty Lloyd Montgomery, and your GM Brandon Blackmore. I wish I had something pithy to say, but I don't. Have a good night.
Night.
Thanks for playing.
All right, guys.
Good night.
Good night.